All right, everybody, welcome back to our second set of the day. We are here in the Nexon Arena for the Neighbor KeSPA Cup. My name is Daniel C. Fedrakos, and with me is Ryan Frosker and more. Of course, a huge shout out to our sponsors, Neighbor, Azubu, and Longzhu for helping with events. Additionally, guys, if you're looking to get your hands on any Korean team merchandise, we've opened up KeSPA has opened up an ESL store. I'm getting it. The words are coming out, I swear. And you can get both SK Telecom and KT Rolster merchandise for those of you who are hungry to see those teams but have not been able to do so yet. Of course, they will be joining the tournament in the round of 8, along with either winners or CJ, depending on the results of our next matchup.
Yes, we got the lineups going through your screen right now. And CJ, they only registered... every other LCK team has registered their entire rosters. We've seen a lot of different flex points, but CJ, if Najin are the Ferrari and Jin Air are the Volkswagen Bus, CJ are the classic car. They are running the same 5 Mad Life Space, Coco, Ambition, and Shy that they've been running for pretty much ever.
Got a lot of fans, similar to the classic cars. The 67 Mustang, not the strongest car in the world, but a very pretty car.
Hey, this is the third place car.
Third place car.
Yeah, it's a strong car.
Of course, CJ, kind of an up and down team, have had excellent results in the past, but have also suffered as the meta has changed quite frequently this season. A lot of different stages. Cinderhulk, the tanky kind of that Urgot era of meta. Just the Sivir era. This year has been very diverse in terms of what people have needed to play and how teams have needed to adapt.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you kind of bring up this idea of CJ not quite keeping up with the meta shift. So you have Coco, who behind SKT's 2 mid laners, Easyhoon and Faker, is probably definitively the 3rd best Korean mid laner in the LCK. A fantastic player, but he has more of a wave control supportive-esque style. He can be the hard carry of the team, and that's typically how they like to funnel their gold. It's into Coco. It's mid lane focused ganks from Ambition. But the issue is in Shy and Space. Now, they looked good in spring, the Cinderhulk meta pretty much saving Shy's career as he's able to pick up these tanky style of champions, but he hasn't been able to shift back to Season 2 Shy, where he can be that aggressive hard carry. Likewise, Space performed very well on champions like Quirky and Sivir, and as those champions fell out of the meta and we started to see more hyperscaling AD carries take over, Space also fell behind, which in turn locked up Mad Life because he had to be in the lane to babysit them, and CJ they looked on the up and up and then just kind of stalled out a bit.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how CJ stack up against winners. Winners, once again, one of these younger teams, not a team we know as much about, of course. A very interesting lineup overall for them. Their top laner could be a big issue for them in this game. Lego, known as one of the weaker challenger scene top laners. And Shy, definitely not one of the strongest Korean top laners, but a very consistent player for the most part.
Very experienced player as well, and I think that if anything really reflects on in Shy's performance, it's his experience. It speaks for itself in kind of his macro decision playmaking. Big player to watch out for on winners. I'm going to call him Gank Zero. We'll see what tag he chooses for when he gets actually in game, but he's considered one of the best Jinx players in Korea. And the reason why I really want to bring that up is the last time that we saw CJ Entus, it was when Jin Air decided to rise from the grave and go on their crazy run, and Jin Air managed to beat them, but in 3 out of those 5 games, because it went to all 5 games, Jinx was played by Space. So we'll see if that continues to be kind of a contested pick. I doubt it. I feel like more so Callista and Tristana are really starting to come back and take over, but we'll see what Space decides to go for and if it's going to be any point of contention against Gank Zero.
And while it's something that Space has really shown to enjoy, that more OQ style champion, these flashy sort of outplay champions, these hyper carries, he's much, much more proficient on these more utility style carries. Sivir, Quirky, much more about team play, mobility, serving a more utility based role as opposed to that hard carry, that primary damage source. More preferring to give that over to Coco, obviously, in the spring season. Coco known as one of the best, if not the best, Azir in Korea, his most played champion. But Azir, a champion we've seen take a lot of hits recently, just because, as you said, the teleport meta coming out, just not able to compete with champions like Ryze.
And don't get me wrong, I think that Azir also does have play options into a double teleport with mid. Again, he can burn the counter. The counter play is you just take that mid-tier tower while the enemy mid laner is down and bottom or up and top or something like that. But I just think that it's not as reliable as the Rise, which we've seen a ton in. So we'll see where Coco decides to go. Obviously, again, a very strong mid laner. CJ obviously recognized that, but I think the question mark is still, where are Shy and Space going to be performing? Mad Life a little bit in a slump on the back half of the summer split. Is he going to be able to kind of return back into form? Because you have such a high skill ceiling that we've seen out of CJ Entus. It's just about consistently hitting that ceiling.
It will be interesting to see if CJ can show up today, as Samsung kind of fell flat in our first series as they were taken out by Ever. CJ not experimenting with rosters as a lot of teams were kind of expected to do. So they're starting with the full-on powerhouse that is CJ. They should feel pretty comfortable and confident going into this game, flashing through the players in each of the positions. Just saw Ambition a few moments ago, along with Murphy on the opposite side. Murphy, you may know him as another name because he's had
multiple name changes.
So many. Spooky, he was an IM sub for a while, but definitely an interesting player, long-standing career in Korea, has tried many times to make it in and always just seems to fall short. We'll see if today can kind of change that perception for him, change that perception for his team, or if winners are just going to be taken down by CJ.
Yeah, and winners are a fairly interesting team coming into this just because you do have a lot of people on the roster who have been around the Korean Challenger scene for a while. Like you said, Murphy, he did have a short stint as a sub for IM.
But
did he go by Spooky?
Spooky, I'm pretty sure.
This guy's got like 20 name changes.
Yeah, he changes his name. He was Murphy, and then he was Spooky, and then I think he was something else.
I think there was Potato in there. Like, that's not even a joke. That's literally...
No, yeah. Potato was definitely one of them, too. So Spooky, Potato, Murphy. I mean, to be fair, it seems to be a trend among certain players. Samsung, of course. We did not get to see Wraith play in the previous game, but Wraith was formerly known as KeSPA and Ice Bear, if I remember correctly.
I was a fan of the Ice Bear. The other player that I want to talk to while we're on winners, though, is Knight. So talking to the Korean Challenger experts, as I'll call them, great resources, thanks Kafka, he really hyped up Knight. He said this is a strong Korean mid laner. Obviously facing across from Coco, it's going to be quite an exercise. Doesn't have he does have a large champion pool. Apparently Knight can play both the kind of control mage style as well as the assassin style, so should have plenty of options here. And again, kind of the primary mid lane champions that we've seen take over, although we did see a great gangplank last game, is really Lissandra, Rise, and Twisted Fate.
And additionally, having that flexibility, being able to play both those assassins and those, control mage style will that skill will lend itself to this tournament in particular because this is still a very new patch. Obviously, teams today have a little bit of an advantage because they've seen a lot more 5.21 games after the matches yesterday, but still not a whole lot of time to adapt to a new patch, to adapt to these new picks because we saw Rise, yes, we saw Vigar on the world stage, but we did not see Lissandra. Twisted Fate was there a little bit as well, but it was the start of this sort of new developing meta where it really feels like it's established itself in 5.21.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely think that there's a refined way to play the game, or an elite way to play the game, although I don't necessarily think we've seen it executed, at least not yet in the KeSPA Cup. I think Jin Air did it to an extent in kind of the back half of their series yesterday, and I define that as the fast push meta. So we saw a lot of fast pushing on the world stage, again, 5.18 to 5.21, and it's just about fast push down the standing outer gold, so the 3 first tier towers, take that global gold because the towers give you global gold, the dragon does not, and then go into the 3rd dragon fight with the amassed gold and then just punch someone there. And this is why I think Rise is so potent, just because he's going to find his item breakpoints on top of that 3rd dragon, where that's where he's going to be super strong, so he's already keyed in to do that. Likewise, the siege pressure from champions like Vigar, like Rise, like Lissandra, if they're grouped up with your team and you're deciding to rotate around the map quickly to take the freestanding gold, if a Rise, Lissandra, or Vigar are approaching your tower, you're either eating a targetable CC and exploding, or you're backing off and giving away the free objective.
And yes, while those champions may not be so strong for taking towers on their own, you bring up a good point that they're just so threatening. At any point, if you're under a tower and there's the Lissandra pushing towards your tower with any other member of your team, a Rise with any other member of his team, you know that he can dive you, that he can lock you down, and no matter what you do, you're not outplaying that targeted hard CC.
And the thing about Rise and Lissandra in particular as well, we've seen a lot of Lissandra yesterday, is the itemization and the tools that they have on their kit to counter the assassin. So LeBlanc also was kind of peeking her head back, but it's really dangerous to pick a LeBlanc into a Rise just because he can itemize the Abyssal relatively early and pretty much deny a lot of that damage and not be punished for it. Same thing with Lissandra. She's going to itemize Abyssal first majority of the time. She's got great wave clear, so if Rise is kind of your pinnacle of either ban or play it, then you're looking at how do I beat the Rise? I have to push him in. I have to get the superior roam. Champions like Twisted Fate, champions like Lissandra are going to be able to do that. Azir and Victor as well, but they're not going to have the same potentness on the double teleport as a Lissandra or Vigar will be.
Of course, double TP not picked up every time. Did see that Gangplank with Exhaust in the previous game, although it did not work out too well.
Well, GP was being used as a counter to Rise just because of his oranges to clear out of the snare initially to take away a lot of that initial kill pressure that Rise is bringing.
And GP, to be fair, did an excellent job of surviving in the mid lane. Rise didn't exactly have a amazing scoreline in our previous matchup. Was still heavily impactful though, and of course Samsung did still fall behind and lose out in that set. We're going to have to see what CJ's pick ban style is going to be. Maybe a Kindred will make it through in this matchup as well. Surprised to see 3 Kindred games so far. I think she still has a 100% win ratio, correct?
Yes, but I'm not going to call her the 100% carry on all 3 of those games.
No, definitely a little bit lackluster in our third game. The first game, of course, of the earlier set today.
Najin ran her, Jinair has run her, and now Ever has run her.
Yes, and each one of those has been a win, and we've seen a lot of power in that pick. When utilized correctly. I don't think Ever maybe necessarily used it to its greatest potential, but definitely showcased what you can do with that absurd amount of mobility and that reliable scaling.
And I think the really cool thing about Kindred, or at least what this tournament is starting to show us, is her counterplay against champions like Fiora and how she uses the Lamb's Respite to deny Fiora's grand challenge. Likewise, her ability to secure objectives. But here we go. We're in draft phase. We'll see if we actually get a Kindred.
Of course, the quick Riven ban coming out against Honeytang in that top lane. Not a player, once again, that we know too much about, but Riven overall a pretty powerful pick. We have to assume that that's a target ban, however. After the most recent Riven nerf, she hasn't been nearly as popular. Gangplank, of course, a general power pick, and one used by CJ reasonably well in the past. Lulu taken off the board. So it'll be interesting to see. Rise taken away as well. So pretty standard pick ban from what we've seen in 5.21. Riven really the only standout. It'll be interesting to see what their next option is. Gangxir, of course, one of the big carries for this team.
Jinx player.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they ban that Jinx away, if they want to take away some of these other comfort picks here. Kindred is going to make it through picks ban. CJ, of course, do have that first pick as well.
I really love Space's glasses.
They are excellent.
Like if you took Uzi and Imp and just smash them together, you got Space. And because they're both so aggressive, it's like the negative. Like you get the control 80 carry.
So perfect. Of course, Tom Kench and Kalista going to be the last bans. Kindred is left up, as is Fiora and a number of other reasonably powerful picks. Although I can't imagine CJ not taking Kindred here. Not a whole lot left with the first pick option. Could go for a more traditional jungler if they wanted to.
No, it's got to be Fiora. Way too high priority to pick, especially because both Tom Kench, Kalista, like your kind of your 3 flex picks are going to be like Kindred, Fiora, Tom Kench, I think. Or at least that's kind of what people have been flexing around with these draft phases. Although, as I say that,
actually going to be the first lock in here. Mad Life, of course, a legendary Alistar back in his prime. Haven't seen amazing Alistar or as amazing Alistar performances recently, although I do believe he is 7-0 on that Alistar in the regular season, so 100% win rate for him. If I remember correctly, could be a little bit off on that one.
I think it's a different team. We're going to give it to him.
Giving it to him. 100% win rate on that Alistar for Mad Life. The Jaina going to get taken up here, and the Kindred being the hover over for Murphy. Now Murphy could potentially bust this one out, although Kindred has been, as I said, 100% win rate is Gorilla.
Gorilla has 100% win rate on
Too many Korea
Alistar.
stats.
Too many amazing Korean support laners.
It's true. My mistake on that stat. Of course, an amazing Alistar nonetheless. It is a questionable first pick, though. Gianna, of course, the counter for that on the opposite side for winners. Really considering this Kalista, I think they are going to lock it in, though. It's just too powerful to let it get away.
Haven't seen a Janna at all in a very long time. I'm actually really excited to see how Janna's going to work with this. Obviously, in tandem, so this is the other thing that I want to talk about. Champions that you will see in tandem with Kindred. She's going to work really well with Kalista because of the objective control. She's going to work really well with tanky top laners like Shin to sneak Baron just because of her passive stacks off of these 6 camps as well as killing champions. Gives her insane Baron damage, and she just needs one tank, and you can pretty much 2-man 20-minute Baron fairly easily. But the disengage support champions, the anti-dive support champions like Bard, support champions like Janna. I expect a hyper carry, 80 carry to come out. I was going to say Jinx, but it looks like CJ are instead going to deny that away from Gank Zero.
CJ potentially identifying that, as you just said. However, CJ not showing us anything new. Now, remember, the last time we saw this team was, I believe, 5-15, sorry. And haven't seen anything in the new meta from them yet. And unlike Jin Air and Najin, didn't get the luxury of having that leak scrim. So a lot of questions here as to what the solo laners are going to play on the side of CJ. Will we see that Azir make a return? Will we see something different? Lissandra and TF, some power picks that are still available, as Knight and Gank Zero hover over Sivir and Veigar respectively. Start of a very interesting composition here on the side of winners.
So this isn't necessarily my favorite. Again, I wanted to see a hyper carry as opposed to someone like Sivir, especially if you take Victor or Veigar, just because they give you more space control and more protection for your AD carry, just because you've got the Chaos Storm or the Event Horizon or the Gravitational Field floating around. The one thing the caveat that I want to make as he decides on Veigar is I like Veigar with Sivir in the sense that the On the Hunt ultimate makes it that much more powerful to place the Event Horizon. So the big thing about Veigar is he's fairly low mobility, and of course you have the setup and preparation time. If you just make him go super quick, he can just get right on top of you, throw that in front of you, and really start abusing choke points. So not necessarily the hyper carry damage that a lot of protection should be given with Sivir, but you can at least speed up that Veigar.
And it's a very similar strategy that we've seen with the Victor in previous metas where Victor was truly powerful. Veigar now kind of taking over that control mage slot as he does offer that superior sort of tower siege.
Yeah,
exactly.
You've got a brilliant siege here. You have Janna at level 9 because she has 5 points in her Eye of the Storm, her shield, which gives a free BF sword worth of stats. Just throw that on Sivir. She's got insane wave control. She can reset her auto attack with her W. You walk up to a tower, you place down the Event Horizon, you take it for free, you walk away. This is entirely set up to siege. So again, we identify what's the strongest meta currently. It's the fast push meta.
Really loving winner's composition here, but CJ are going to finish up theirs with a TF in the mid lane as well as an Olaf in the top lane for Shy. It's been a long time. Hasn't been a long time. I was going to say it's a long time since we've seen an Olaf. We saw an Olaf yesterday in the hands of Mimic on the lineup of Pathos. We'll have to see if Shy can have a similarly dominating performance, or if this is a little bit of a newer pick for him. Has been around for a long time, has existed in many metas where Olaf was powerful, so we can only assume that he'll be comfortable on this one. See there on your screen, Ambition. I'm going to say looking confident, looks contemplative.
I just really want to see Shy return to hard carry former glory.
I feel like we're grasping at straws with that one, though, because that was Season 2. It was so long ago, and while I would love for Shy to come back, it feels like he's been out of that time period for so long.
If Flame can learn new tricks and pick up tanks and then immediately go back to a hard carry meta, Shy can do it. Or he should be able to do it.
I believe. The CJ fans here probably believe as well, as the audience has filled up significantly in the space between these games. Of course, both teams have now finished that composition. It will be the Gnar for Honeytang in the top lane. Gnar, Olaf, a matchup we've seen once already, and if Olaf gets ahead, it will be absolutely brutal for Honeytang in the laning phase. Let's see if either of these teams wants to lane swap and how they're going to execute these compositions overall. Now, looking at CJ's composition, we talked a lot about winners and what they want to do. A lot of tower pressure, obviously. What are CJ going to try to go for here?
Anytime you take a Twisted Fate with a teleport, you've got you effectively have double teleport on one champion. It's all about using the versatility. Are you going to use Coco as to create picks with a rush of Zarna's Hourglass? Is he going to itemize a Lich Bane early and start applying pressure and trying to make cross-map movements in terms of taking down free objectives? So you open up a lot of versatility in what you want to do, but they've got a lot of pick potential between Elise, Cocoon, and Twisted Fate. You've got great 5v5 late game with Jinx, as well as some space with Alistar there. So, got some options.
Definitely going to be interesting to see which one of these guys is able to execute their team comp better, but we'll have to find out in just a second. Get hyped for those intro videos. We'll be back in just a moment. There it is. Did not get it in the first best of 3, but we got it here. The CJ fans are here. The winners fans are here. It's a good name. Because you'd be like, who wouldn't root for winners? Are you going to root for losers? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, someone's not about to win if this gold card connects.
Coco not going to be quite in range to get that one to land.
Okay.
CJ going to start backing off here.
What I was actually curious is if the so we stopped speaking because I don't know if the stream picked it up, but there was some crazy CJ fan cheers. We were told to watch out for the CJ fans, that they are a very excitable bunch. Yesterday our door was open. Today our door is closed.
Hopefully it was mixed into the audio there for you guys. If not, there were CJ fans.
It was beautiful.
It was great.
Great venue. It's a beautiful venue. Great fans. It's really filled up for this game. CJ fans again coming out in full force.
They're all sitting on the top balcony.
Yeah.
They like to section themselves off. They're the elite of Korean fans, I think. They've stuck with CJ through thick and thin.
It kind of makes sense. You know, people who really enjoy classic cars seem to be like an elite bunch.
It's true. You gotta be pretentious about it. It's all original.
It takes years to restore everything. It starts out really shaky.
You need to get screws from the 70s if you want to put a 70s car together. You can't get screws from the hardware store. That is not a true restoration.
All the way back to season 2 to try to find your color points.
Of course, Coco here in the mid lane. The core of this Mustang. The original, not the original engine, but a pretty powerful one. TF, a new pick for him. Well, not a new pick for him, but a pick we haven't seen in a while. Be interesting to see how comfortable he is on this one. Definitely not a hard carry.
I don't know where you're going with this. TF has been so popular.
But TF wasn't popular last time we saw him play.
Oh, you're talking about Coco specifically.
I'm talking about Coco specifically, yes. And it's not the hard carry that Azir is in the late game, so I'm really curious what they're going to do with it. Of course, the rest of the lane's looking very standard. A little bit of duo jungle to start off on the side of winners, allowing Murphy to jungle comfortably as Honey Tang gets knocked low. Surely going to use that teleport to get back into the range of CS, as Shy will take 2 camps, I believe. We're going back here.
Yeah, likewise, getting more solo experience than Honey Tang there, because Honey Tang decided to duo jungle. However, Honey Tang does, such a strange name, Honey Tang does get to the top lane beforehand.
Fast level 2 here in the bottom lane. Boko fully out here. Ambition much more comfortable, Shy much more comfortable solo jungling than the Gnar here, so taking full advantage of that experience. We'll hit level 3 first. We'll have to see if he capitalizes there. Mad Life looking for the headbutt pulverize. Playing way too far forward, but there is going to be the Elise on the backside. An excellent chain of CC. The quick exhaust going down. And Gang Zero will surely burn, but so will Mad Life. What a 1-for-1 trade.
And just not as clean as it could have been for Mad Life. He took so much unnecessary damage, really telegraphing that gank, which, again, really telegraphing that gank. Alistar is just walking within auto attack range of 2 champions. I mean, obviously, there must be a jungler in the side wave, but Gank Zero and Boku not respecting that. It does end up a 1-for-1 trade, which best case scenario, but you can't even look at how low Mad Life is to start this. It's simply because he took like 5 auto attacks for the preparation here.
It's very true, and I mean, I really feel for Gang Zero on that one. I was completely oblivious to the Elise as well, but despite the Elise coming in, he has such an excellent reaction to flash in, to get aggressive, to secure that kill, and to make it a 1-for-1. So overall, Mad Life, really good coordination, really good execution there, but just a little bit too aggressive. Wouldn't even call it telegraphing his intentions. At that point, you're just, I'm gonna get you eventually. I will make it there. I will make it to you.
Oh, here comes the roam though. Coco is also with Mad Life, but the fact that Coco is missing from the lane, I think is gonna Q Gnar.
Looking for something to flash. Gonna take him to safety, not giving Mad Life the opportunity to headbutt or pulverize in that exchange. Ambition also hovering around the top side, gonna secure that Scuttle Crab, and CJ look like they want to take this out of laning phase as quickly as possible, having multiple members roaming around the map consistently. Fortunately, did not get too much of an advantage there, so we'll lose out a little bit. Space way too far forward, though. Gang Zero going in. We'll have the boomerang played shortly. Is going to wait to use it.
He doesn't have it. He threw it initially, and he missed with it, which is why he wasn't really able to follow up on that damage. He should have waited until Boku was in position for the gank and tried to nail Space as he funneled himself between the wall and the tower.
A little bit of a misplace there then. Didn't take full advantage of having the 2v1 advantage on the bottom side of the map. Kindred spotted out on that ward. They will know that she is on the top side of the map. Shy, seemingly unconcerned though, just going to pressure that wave into the tower. 36 to 27 CS. Of course, Honeytang going to make most of that back here. He's proficient. Glad to see once again, not very much known about this player, but presumably reasonably comfortable farming under tower. Kind of a staple of being a pro player.
Bishan was spotted out on a ward, which is why you see Murphy here rotating down to the bottom side. They know that Ambition's on that side of the jungle, possibly setting up for a gank. Trying to use his pink ward effectively, so there should be a 3v3 if Ambition's going to commit. Walks through another ward.
Kindred is going to be able to do a lot of damage. Either Storm going to make it that much more. Wolf's Frenzy being thrown down. AoE is not too close to Ambition there, so not going to get too many resets on that dance of arrows. Looks like everyone's going to back off on the bottom side of the map. Coco starting to push in the Vigard here, taking full advantage of those wild cards to push out. But neither team finding not too much of an advantage. CJ mostly CS, allowing them to stay ahead at this point. 43 to 35 in the top lane.
Still a relatively calm game. Something that I want to point out is Coco's initial back and kind of his primary itemization. The question was going to be, where is he going to go? A lot of Twisted Fates will itemize double Dorans into Lucidity Home Guard boots to just try to maximize early efficiency with Destiny, but instead, Coco is going straight for a Sheen.
That may just be Coco realizing that it's going to be more about him dishing out the damage that has historically been his role. We'll have to see if this ends up being the right choice, or if a more standard build will have helped CJ better in the end. Shy pushing in aggressively here. Ambition walking up for an auto attack. Just wants to let people know he's there. Everything's still looking pretty calm. Space taking a lot of damage in this laning phase. Mad Life, though, more than happy to spam out that Triumphant Roar and heal him up. The TP comes in on the top side.
Yeah, everything's still relatively calm. I was watching where Coco was going, sorry. Destiny available, and I'm just curious where the kill pressure is going to be for Coco. I would suggest, I mean, Olaf has great kill pressure by himself just because he does so much damage, but continuing to snowball on top of the Alistar CC in that bottom lane, although it's really hard to get John on purple side. Never mind. Should be top lane.
Knight starting to move forward here, getting a ward down so we can keep track of Coco. Wants to make sure there are no unpredictable destinies. Kindred, of course, marking that Scuttle Crab means she will have an easy way to pick up a stack here. Haven't checked in on her in a while. Pretty sure she does not have any at this stage of the game, but it only takes a couple to really get that ball rolling. We'll have to be careful about playing around that.
And look at how CJ are reacting to this information of where Murphy is on the map. As soon as he appears on a ward, immediately you see Mad Life respawn and start placing deep vision. Now, he was spotted out by wards in the river from winners, so they know what's happening, but doing a good job. Not much action is happening around the map, but making small macro plays with their information.
And in addition to that, making small itemization choices based around that macro play, that calm map play. Picking up the Avarice Blade early on the side of Sipper versus that early pickaxe from Space.
This is scary.
Trying to certainly Baron. This is a very aggressive decision, especially with Kindred in the game. CJ are going to have to back off on this one. May have wanted to try to take an advantage that just wasn't quite there for them. Nothing really gained on either side, though. Vigard will be able to pick this blue up in the meantime, however.
And again, it was with that information that they acquired from Murphy. They saw that he was on the top side of the map, so they took the chance on the fact that Dragon and River might not be warded to sneak the Dragon, especially because they didn't pull Space out of the lane to try to fake everyone out using Elise's natural instilled tankiness with their Spiderlings, but good defensive vision from winners.
Seems like what we see a lot from game ones in this tournament, because there's such a variety of teams with a variety of different backgrounds. Obviously, LCK teams, NLB teams, qualified via the 96 Sport Festival. you just can't be entirely comfortable, no matter how strong you think you are. And it's like both teams are very aware of this, giving each other a lot of respect, not pushing too far, not looking for over-aggressive moves or relying solely on mechanics to find advantage. Instead, just these small macro decisions, as you talked about. Kindred, though, and Janet going to move in to try to get her one more stack. She's already got one herself. 2 will bring that damage to 2.5 this early on in the game. That's pretty potent. Definitely not out of control.
Looking top.
Dive coming in. Destiny comes on the backside. Honeytang is in trouble, but the TP is there as well. Honeytang will survive, but Shy will get absolutely dominated in that instance. Knight gonna get taken out as well. Ambition just on the edge of that one. Gonna flash out of tower aggro. Will survive overall. Looks like the 1-for-1 exchange. Winners, though, moving on to this dragon.
Oh, hold on. Gnar? Nope, not going to connect with him. Okay, so very interesting turn of events right there. I'm still going to give it to CJ just because they're going to take the global gold of the tower as well as that pressure. Again, the fact that Coco itemized early the Sheen rather than the double Dorans into the Lucidity boot. So it's not about pressing Destiny as many times as possible, just when it really counts. So good setup and preparation for the gank. They don't end up getting Honeytang. Honeytang does a great job removing himself from this, but really good reaction time from Knight. Ends up trading 1-for-1.
And really got to say, good job by Ambition too, to jump in to help secure that Vigar kill, but not to get caught by that stun. Very close. Definitely a game of inches. It could have been a 2-for-2 if either Honeytang or Ambition had made a single misstep, but both were able to get out of there with their lives. So just going to be the 1-for-1 exchange. However, our CJ will find themselves with a 1k gold advantage 11 minutes into the game, so slight advantage to them. It will be interesting to see how exactly they use that.
Should be noted that naturally the 5% AD AP bonus on Dragon is what I like to call an invisible stat, just because it's not going to be calculated in your gold counter at the top of the screen, but every stat in this game has a gold value associated with it, and that one's going to snowball and compress itself as the game goes on longer, and those 5% mean more and more because you have more items. So yes, clearly CJ have a 1k gold lead and it matters now, but give it 10 minutes, give it another item, and that Dragon will actually equate.
And additionally, not taken into account on that gold counter is the natural scaling of some champions. Jinx will scale pretty well into the late game, but we really have not seen a Kindred get the opportunity to go late either, and that is a champion who can have an absurd amount of damage from her passive if she's given time to scale up. So it's going to be very interesting to see who is actually stronger as we move further and further into the mid game, as we approach the late game. So far, though, once again, just back to a little bit more passive play. Destiny going to be the big determining factor next time Coco has it available, and it will be up in just a second.
My question is what they're going to do with their top lane advantage, having that tower down. Is Shy going to continue to try to overextend or get a freeze near his tower and deny Honeytang, or is he going to start roaming around and impacting the rest of the map? Right now, he's put himself in danger for a gank.
Shy does have his ultimate, but does not have Ghost. They may just try to pressure on this tower.
Yeah,
Murphy
they just
want
to reset the wave. So what would have happened is if Shy and Honeytang were left on their own, he would have just frozen the wave right in front of his tower and denied Gnar. But Murphy moving up there to make sure that the wave is reset.
Ambition pressuring Knight out of lane as a lot of damage goes on to that tower. Murphy more than comfortable to rip through that one.
And this is key because this pressure of pulling Murphy up into the top lane to help out his top laner just survive without his tower allows a slight rotation from Ambition and Mad Life into the mid lane to get some free damage onto the mid 2 tower because they know that they have the numbers advantage because they know exactly where Murphy is.
Good use of those little advantages from CJ, something that we really did not see from Samsung in the previous game, and it's good to see from these higher tier teams. Definitely provides them with a decent amount of confidence coming in here. Once again, though, not dominating like we expected them to. Just kind of a slow and steadily paced match here. Coco waiting to scale up, is working on that Rod of Ages, seems to abandon, just taking the Sheen early on, not too worried about the Lich Bane.
Yeah, again, it's he's got his big primary damage dealer with the Sheen being able to proc that, and not only does it give him great early damage, especially in low-level ganks where he can really just pop someone with a Sheen proc, but it also gives him great tower sieging ability. So like we saw with the initial Destiny as Honeytang takes that top-tier tower, you're able to get up there, do massive damage, and then immediately translate that into a tower relatively early, and for relatively inexpensive gold.
Definitely an effective way to play the game, of course. Shy hesitated in the base there for a few seconds, wasn't sure if he wanted to use that teleport up onto the top lane tower. Did end up deciding against it. CJ may have plans for him in the near future. Maybe looking to fight here on the bottom side of the map. Only 2 minutes left until that dragon's going to respawn, and CJ determined to place down some vision. Gang Zero, no auto attack reset on that second ward, so will not be able to take it down.
I find the trick to it is to not... I feel like a lot of Sivers will automatically or off the first proc try to reset, so it's auto attack and then they try to reset immediately, as opposed to being in range of the ward, auto attack, then hit the reset to take it.
We already used the reset on the first ward, so regardless of how...
No, I understand why he didn't get the second one, but a lot of Sivir players don't get the ward at all, even when they're in range, because they auto reset on the first.
That, to be fair, that is a problem I have frequently. But luckily I swapped to support and I play Leona now, and it's just so easy.
But luckily I swapped to support and I just get carried now. You can make the comment that Mad Life's in this game and he's a guy who literally invented how to carry from a support position, but...
Yeah, but no, I can't carry. I mean, I'm pretty bad at this game, if we're being honest. But luckily, you guys don't have to watch me play. You get to watch Winners and CJ. As Frostburn berates me mercilessly on a live broadcast.
Dragon up in 42 seconds. Both teleports for top laners as well as mid laners up and available. We'll see if CJ decide to fight this one. They do have the item, the battle item advantage with Infinity Edge. So Jinx is an 80 carry who probably gets the most out of Infinity Edge over any other 80 carry because she can proc crits on her AoE rockets. Likewise, across from her, Sivir does not have the completed Infinity Edge, instead went for the tower pushing build by grabbing the flat AD and then upgrading her boots. So in the 5v5, I'm going to give it to CJ just based off of the items for the 80 carries.
Murphy going in here, getting pretty aggressive. Gonna have to flash out as Mad Life looks for the pulverize there. Ambition may have overstayed his welcome.
And given away that advantage.
Exactly. Not having your jungler around the dragon is huge. Space in trouble is on the hunt, comes out. No fear now that Ambition is no longer part of this party. Space getting burned down so quickly. The Ignite stopping that heal from being very effective. And a beautiful spell shield from Gank Zero will keep him going. Destiny on the backside. Gank Zero, not enough time to make it out of this one. The rest of the team is around and available. CJ getting something back, but at what cost?
Yeah, they overreach for that. Now, Kindred does have great objective control. Again, we talk about her passive, so they are going to go ahead and grab this dragon, but I think that might be,
Stun going in on the Mad Life, does use that Unbreakable will miss another pulverized. Gnar going in, is in the back line, gonna get two with that, will get him with the wall up, the Wombo combo, and Honey Tang seals the deal.
Continuing the chase now, though.
No more Unbreakable Will means one more kill for that Gnar. That's the triple overall.
Beautiful Event Horizon. I really want to talk about Knight that fight. So I was a little bit kind of curious as the rocket whiffs everyone. I was curious if CJ were going to be able to pressure them off of the dragon, but they don't respond quickly enough. And likewise, Mad Life face checking into that Event Horizon, trying to be that primary engage tool. So great zone control from Knight. You're going to see it in the replay here. Just pretty much buys them enough time to secure it, and then you just have a gorgeous Mega Gnar timed, and unfortunately for Ambition and Shy there, right up against the wall.
And unfortunately for Mad Life, missing a pulverize in that fight, having to use the Unbreakable Will early, and that was his headbutt that pushed Honey Tang so far back into his own team. So rare missteps coming in from Mad Life. We've commented that he's not quite the Thresh God that he once was, but it's rare to see him make mistakes of that caliber in team fights.
He's not really, oh, hold on.
TB coming in on the backside. Coco looking for an engagement as the Janet Tornado comes out. Gank Zero will surely go down here. There's just no hope. Giving this one on over to Coco.
That wasn't a giving to Coco. That was literally who's going to get this, Space or Twisted Fate. They fought over that.
They threw auto attacks out at the same time.
It wasn't like, Coco, this is for you. The Space is like, give it to me.
Please. Coco, of course, going to be happy with that one. Has finished the Lucidity boots, as well as almost this Lich Bane. Will finish it up as he backs there. So Lich Bane, Rod of Ages, that is one threatening TF. Pretty early on in the game, only 18 minutes in. Still a small advantage over to Winners after the previous fight where Honey Tang was ridiculously crucial.
But what's important is because Coco is fed and he is the primary carry, at least the guy who's been really stepping up for CJ when they find their victories, is you have that versatility about the type of plays that you want to make. So he doesn't have the Hourglass, although
Murphy gonna go down here in a moment. Ignite her Lamb's Respite keeping him safe. Destiny could come in on the backside. Knight may be able to blow up this TF. The stun card gonna stop any further action, but Coco has stepped too far. Spygar just throwing out the ultimate to secure that one. Mad Life trying to find something else for the team, but Knight is far too healthy. A beautiful, beautiful stun there. The cage coming out, space trapped up, but not for long enough to find anything back. Excellent play from Knight.
1-for-1 trading and the power of Vicar in those choke points. And I was just going to comment, Coco doesn't have the hourglass, so it's really risky for him to make those type of overextended plays in team fights to be a primary engage, especially when you have an Alistar on your team. Just needs to relax. His build is set up for split pushing right now, and short, small skirmishes.
Of course, just so risky to dive in onto that Kindred, and additionally, as you said, without the hourglass, it's very hard to dive in safely. But you can see here an excellent stun, excellent chain of CC from Mad Life, but just not enough to beat through the Lamb's Respite. Of course, going to commit it onto this fight. Finally, Space will grab that one with the final auto attack, but Coco kind of get blown up here immediately. Flashes, so it delays the death there for just a moment, but will still go down. Knight has to blow Flash, but a beautiful, beautiful cage here will stop any further follow-up.
Not quite sure why Murphy was even that far forward to open himself up to a cocoon, and then also tumbling out of his Lamb's Respite so he didn't get the heal on the back of it.
It was, I feel like teams still just are not comfortable playing around a Kindred in a fight under
I mean, he was dead
circumstances.
either way. If he stands in the Lamb's Respite, he's pretty much going to be in the middle of 3 people, but could have denied at least the execution and get excited proc on Jinx.
Interesting to see if they'll figure that out for the next fight. Of course, Murphy's starting to get aggressive on Ambition. Has used the Wolf's Frenzy. We'll have that lowered Dance of Arrows cooldown. Not going to look for too much more, though. In the top lane, despite an amazing team fight performance, Honeytang not actually that far ahead. Decent amount of a CS deficit here. Shy, of course, spotted out on that ward, though, so Gnar will be quite comfortable farming on the top side of the map.
The legendary Sunfire Gnar. Haven't seen that in a hot minute.
It's very true. Usually we see the early Black Cleaver.
I mean, either you're going to see he'll pick up 2 resistance items, both his MR and his armor one, and then immediately look for the team fights, or he takes the Black Cleaver or Frozen Mallet for his lane dominance.
Mad Life taking a lot of damage here as Kindred is more than happy to push in there. Flame Chomper is going to stop her from chasing any further. But no, you're completely right. Definitely some oddball Gnar itemization in the last couple games that we've seen him. Haven't seen that Frozen Mallet in a while. Obviously very popular on the world stage. Not so popular here in patch 5.21.
And he's against true damage. Like, what kills me with this itemization is you're against 3 primary magic dealers, Alistar, Elise, and then Twisted Fate. Now, naturally, the armor will protect you against space, but you're not going to be fighting space anytime soon. And the top laner that you're fighting across from can deal true damage to you. So your Sunfire is still cost-effective because it's the first item coming out, but it's pretty much only giving you the ability to push waves, which he's doing as a ranged champion with Sunfire.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's just kind of an awkward itemization thing there, but it hasn't really worked against him too much yet, spending most of his time in those team fights as Mega Gnar, and that Sunfire Cape obviously going to dish out a decent amount of damage in most of those situations. Coco, though, clearing out the side waves. Boku in the mid lane, poking around. Neither team looking for anything too much, but the dragon will respawn, and Kindred is right in position to take it already. Looking like this could be third dragon uncontested for winners. CJ are starting to respond, but it's too little too late.
Just poor management of the cooldown, or excuse me, the timer. That said, they will trade the mid-tier tower in return. So again, 3 towers to 1 in favor of CJ. They need to start making moves on these dragons, but their comp right now is still set up more towards pick-oriented before they look for their 5v5.
And of course, that will even up the gold, but at what cost? As those dragons continue to stack, it is going to force CJ eventually to contest in a number of different situations, and so far they have been very unwilling to do so. The one time that they did try to fight out at the dragon, it turned against them very, very quickly. Winners looking pretty confident in this game. Once again, another challenger team that we may have misread in this tournament.
You know, Winners, they have more players that have semi-professional and professional experience kind of across the board, so it's not completely out of left field like Young Boss and Pathos.
Yeah, Young Boss and Pathos was an interesting one. I don't think either of us saw such a dominating performance coming, but Winners, of course, as you said, a little bit better track record with those teams, so not quite as unexpected, but still surprising to see CJ struggle like this. Coco starting to get online, though.
They're technically still ahead in gold. I mean, yeah, you have the invisible gold as Gangster is forced to burn his ultimate to get away from space with red buff. You've had the invisible gold of having the triple dragon as well as that 5th dragon win condition, but CJ just slowly taking down the towers. They've got time. They've technically still got the gold lead on top.
And of course, as we move further and further into this game, it's going to be all about space on that Jinx. Now, we talked about this being one of his favorite characters. Played it a lot against Jin Air in the regional finals, but if he doesn't show up in these team fights, it could turn against CJ very quickly. Additionally, we've never really seen the late game Kindred. Not sure how they are going to focus or how they're going to function in that late game team fight with so much mobility. Additionally, the Lamb's Respite keep a lot of players safe, stop those Jinx resets from coming out.
Likewise, stop the dive that Olaf and Twisted Fate have available to them with the Destiny and the Ragnarok ultimates.
Ragnarok just so perfect against this team in so many ways, but at the same time, without a major displacement effect, it could be very difficult. Luckily, Mad Life can headbutt out a key target if it is that crucial, but...
Well, Shy picked up Olaf relatively late into the draft. It was a response to Knight.
Mad Life taking a lot of damage here, is finally going to have to ult. A lot of patience on that one. May have wanted to use it earlier, but was hoping to get out without having to burn it. So a small advantage from winners. They can force a fight or force a pick on that Alistar in the next minute or so. He will not have access to that Unbreakable Will, that get out of jail free card. But no real advantage gained on either side.
I mean, winners, they want to 5v5 CJ right now, as long as it's a 5v5, again, not opening themselves up to skirmishes or any sort of pick through Twisted Fate. But they're more than happy to sit back and wait for this dragon timer. The dragon's being used as effectively a Thunderdome or an arena to draw CJ towards them. And they just want to work towards their 5th dragon win condition right now. Or dive a Twisted Fate.
Or dive a Twisted Fate. Very different things coming out here. Murphy doesn't look too scared, but a quick gold card locking up
Coco
under
doesn't look
tower.
too scared. Forget Murphy.
Yeah.
Murphy's terrified. He's like, I'm out.
Wasn't that terrified to start it up. Looks like
Round
the 2
2
is coming in as Coco tries to go for Knight, flashing over the wall, going to lock him down. The chain CC is coming in, but will it be enough? An excellent Monsoon just on the edge there to try to secure that one. Lamb's Respite coming in as well. The Rocket not going to do anything. A great stun there, but Shy is determined to find someone as he goes deep. We'll find one. We'll find 2 in just a moment if he can get a line of sight on Murphy, but in the meantime, Gang Zero gets the triple in the back line. Olaf taking 2, but the Sivir rips through his team. Sivir with the quadra kill to close out that fight.
And Shy gets a double, but at what cost? Chasing Kindred around the map while his team is just being ripped apart. Honeytang again finding a great stun lock. Now, I never get to use this joke, but this flash from Abyssion is rather ambitious. Now, he tries to buy time by immediately repelling up, but it just puts Coco and Mad Life in such a risky position. They get CC locked, and look at Shy. He's going to pick up the Vigar, but Vigar's already dropped his load.
And look at Murphy buy so much time for Honeytang to just rip through here. Shy, you know, finally realizing what's going on, but it's just too late as the rest of his team has already dropped. And additionally,
Space not even in the fight.
Yeah, well, look at the Lamb's Respite, though, and how clutch that was. That would have been a double kill on that Jinx rocket for Space, but because of the Lamb's Respite, saves his teammates, and that is the power of Kindred that we've been waiting to see this game.
Dragon in 1 minute. Obviously, winners with that last team fight really starting to come into breakpoints for their itemization across the board. They are more than happy to just continue to bait CJ Entus into this river and find these 5v5. CJ just need to fix their coordination, get on the same page.
Additionally, 6 stacks for Murphy on that Kindred, so hasn't been a huge threat in the fights outside of that ultimate so far, but now that he does an immense amount of current health damage, may be able to rip through Shy's Olaf or any other character on the team for that matter, so they're going to have to pay a little bit more respect to this Kindred. She scales further and further up. Watch out for that mark. Of course, past 6 stacks, she won't be able to mark jungle camps anymore, but she can still mark champions and continue to scale as the game moves forward.
3 seconds till Dragon's up. CJ are actually in the river, but they may have sacrificed their footing on the Baron.
No hesitation coming in here from Winners.
Again, 6 stacks. They can do it very quickly. The Destiny is forced to use to compensate for CJ's error.
Introducing the dance of arrows to move in onto that mid lane. Ambition,
This is
not
smart.
scared, not going to play the Dragon Dance or Baron Dance game, just going to make the decision to take it out on his own. This will be the first Dragon going over to CJ. Unless Ambition cannot close this one out, he will get it.
That was very smart from CJ. They split up their resources. Elise can solo the Baron with the help of the Spiderlings, stall out that 5th Dragon win condition, and then use the Destiny to threaten Winner's Baron control.
Overall, a good showing of confidence in their shot calling from CJ. Ambition knowing his team could make it out safely if there was some sort of engagement, or he could move to support, but in the meantime, grab the Baron, or the Dragon rather, for his team, not only securing what is now a massive 6% steroid, but additionally, also delaying that 5th Dragon win condition on the side of Winners.
Plays that CJ need to make, however, is they need to start picking up their vision, moving it over onto that Baron, so a snuck Baron cannot be attempted again, even though Kindred doesn't have a ton of stacks. 6 is still a lot, and with the tankiness of Honey Tang, they could very easily 2-man this Baron, jumping over the wall.
And it's a power that has been mostly underutilized so far with Kindred. We have seen a couple of kind of snuck Barons, but not something we've seen in every single game. So it's not a power that every team is comfortable with just yet. But between the Gnar and between the Kindred, it is surely they could take that one down quickly. Instead, however, they'll turn their sights on this mid lane tower, and they may push for another one. Not nearly enough wave clear at this stage as Sivir, no fear, goes in. Trying to take that down. Half health on that tier 2 tower.
They have the wave clear available. Shy was looking for a flank, is going to go ahead and get spotted out by a ward, so backs off. But, I mean, you have Jinx, you have Twisted Fate, as well as Elise. But this is the power of Veigar, and champions like Veigar, Ryze, and Lysandre's, when they approach a tower, that kill threat is just so high, you have to respect.
Yes, of course, Veigar with that ultimate up at this stage of the game. 280 farm. Not sure how many stacks he has, so I'm not sure how much AP that means. But with the death cap in his inventory, you know that Jinx especially will be vulnerable. At any moment, Veigar could just alter out of the fight. Alistar won't be able to do a whole lot to stop that one. No really defensive options against those point-and-click spells.
The targetable nuke.
It's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
You can in theory outplay a Zed, you can in theory outplay a LeBlanc, but if a Veigar is fed, one button and you're dead. I was like, should I avoid the rhyme? I saw it and I just walked face first into it. And it was mediocre and I loved it.
For those who don't know, Sifa has a great mediocre rap career going for him.
Great. It's not really a career. It's more like a mediocre talent. In the sense that I'm mediocre, not in the sense that it's a bad talent to have. It's a sweet talent.
Good save.
Don't want to offend the entire rap community. We've already offended the entirety of the LPL fans on this broadcast, as well as probably LCK fans.
Coco trying to just create different pressure points on the map, pushing waves forward, trying to pull Winners around the map to respond to them. Likewise, getting the space so CJ can continue to sneak into this barren river, place down their vision because they are just trying to buy time. Again, they need the pick. A 5v5 is a little bit harder to pull off comparatively to Winners composition just because, again, so much anti-dive, so much raw power out of multiple carries.
One of the big issues here is going to be that lead that Gank Zero has. 50 CS for himself, a full item above his original lane opponent. And while Jinx is incredibly strong, it's very risky. CJ could get flanked here. Have to be careful. On the hunt, could come out and could find themselves in a rough spot. Not a whole lot of rage built up on the Gnar, though.
Was really nice zoning and threat by Mad Life there to open up time for Space to step forward and lay down a few rockets.
Overall, a very slow sort of mid-game approach here. Both teams just taking auto attacks on the turret when they can get them, clearing out their waves, and posturing around the Baron. Dragon will be up in 2 minutes, however. This will be major for both teams. CJ would be happy with the tower damage.
And CJ are doing really well with the creep management. They've also got a large wave building on the bottom side of the map, and this is attributed to Coco. Getting into these side lanes, prepping the waves, and again, just creating time for CJ to continue to funnel gold onto their Jinx to ramp Space up into this late game carry. So Shy and Coco doing a great job stalling this out.
And this just really goes to CJ as a more experienced team making excellent use of their vision control as well as their respective kits, although they could be caught out here. Elise in trouble as she will come down in the cage, will get blown up, but will flash to safety. Mad Life with an excellent disengage there. Every member of CJ making it out with their lives. Close, but not going to find too much there. Looking for the Baron as they push in. We could see some contention. Nara coming in, Olaf coming in as well. Boku trying to keep health.
Oh, they're just trying to burn it
up. They're going to get it down, and that's going to be the Baron. Will the fight follow? Shy may try to find this one. Ambition is on the backside, the baby cage. Excellent disengage. And they're going to back out for that one safely. Doesn't look like CJ are going to be able to find anything. Destiny is now available, though. Coco could move in, has locked the gold card.
I don't think they can pull the trigger on this. They've got way too much health back, and there's the empowered recalls, and winners get away with the free Baron, mostly on the back of Knight. I'm going to get full credit to him, although Honeytang was also great at zoning in the choke point with his teleport coming in. But two beautiful back-to-back horizons to buy time first and foremost to get that Baron, but then to disengage here in the middle of the river to allow them to get up top.
And additionally, CJ's tendencies towards defensive play feels like it really cost him on that one. Did not have the confidence to move in, did not respect Kindred. And additionally, when Honeytang threw out that Gnar ultimate, they did not want to flash forward into the fight. They flashed away to safety, and they gave a massive opportunity to winners to escape unscathed, and now to pick up a dragon as well. 4-1 in the dragon score. Winners with a massive advantage.
Well, the big thing is that CJ didn't have any wards in the river, so they have to expect that if you see the Gnar teleport coming in, as well as the event horizon right behind him, that what's to say that Winners isn't going to jump in and follow up on the Gnar wombo combo.
CJ not willing to take that gamble. And it will still cost them, however. No towers yet, but Winners seem determined to take this one down. The siege pressure of Vygar mounting. Kindred may not be the best tower taker, but still going to be able to dish out a lot of damage.
Doesn't even matter about Kindred. It's all about that Janna. Janna, Sivir, Vygar. This is an incredible siege composition. Janna post level 9, 5 points in the Eye of the Storm. Free BF sword on whoever she puts that shield upon. Can make Kindred an incredible tower sieger.
Lamb's Respite, of course, still available as well. Kindred taking an immense amount of damage. Rocket is going to come out and take out Murphy. No Lamb's Respite, no time to react. Shy using the Ghost. Will have the Ragnarok shortly. Destiny coming in the front. Could look for it. They are just going to have to back off here, though. Needed to be a little bit more proactive on that one, but CJ still going to grab that kill. An excellent rocket from space.
And immediately Coco and Shy run off to the side lanes. Again, the Baron still has some time left on it. CJ continued to attempt to stall by controlling.
Could be in trouble here. Space is going to do so much damage. Will flash out before the traps can get in. Mad Life coming over the wall. The headbutt pulverized. Will get that one, but Olaf undeterred by the monsoon. Will still have to back off, respecting the damage present on the opposite side. Will not even snag a kill. Got way too excited for that combo. I thought they were getting everything there.
Trust. I will hand off. I wanted to talk about their side wave control.
Go for it.
Well, now that I have the time, it's just Shy and Coco trying to... You know what? I appreciate minion control. I appreciate Shy and Coco's attempts right now to save this game.
It's been a bit of an uphill battle here on the side of CJ. Of course, can watch this one more time.
Oh, please, take it away. You were so excited.
Listen, look at this, look at this.
Mad Life goes over the wall, finds the pulverize on 2, but they just don't have the damage to follow it up.
Look at this, look at this though. This is, we were skeptical about the first armor item initially, but Honeytang is just almost entirely unkillable.
No, don't give credit to the Sunfire Cape on that. That could have been any armor item that was much more cost efficient than a Sunfire Cape. The Randuin's Omen for 1 against Jinx, who is a very attack speed base 80 carry. No. We were skeptical. I'm still skeptical. He's having a great game, but is not the Sunfire. It's not like those massive wombo combos or 5-man stuns. Man, if he didn't have that Sunfire, he wouldn't have gotten that 5-man stun on that wall. Thank goodness he's got his cape.
I came from an era where you used to be able to stack them, and there's a lot of nostalgia for me.
You played Shaco
on that item. No, I played.
Stacked.
I was worse. I played Garen. I was that guy when Garen released, and I was like, I'm really good at League of Legends.
You're not good at League of Legends because you didn't even abuse it with Shaco. It stacked on his clone. You didn't just have 5 Sunfire Capes. You had 10. I was really good. I played Garen with Sunfire Cape. Come on, scrub.
The hurt is real. I want to talk more about Sunfire Cape, but I feel like we've derailed the conversation enough.
There's nothing
And
left to say.
I don't think my body can handle any more rude comments here.
He's got his cape. He's got his hat. I equate Gnar to more of a squirrel, but I feel like in that skin he just looks like a ferret.
Doing pretty well.
Yeah, Honeytang doing great.
Questionable build.
That's fine.
Nostalgic, but questionable. Doesn't really help as much with the wave clear as he'd like it to, but at this stage in the game, Sunfire Cape, of course, is going to be absolutely fine. You can see, interestingly enough, the distortion boots coming out, so not feeling that the home guard is necessary, instead just wanting to get more frequent teleports on this kind of global map sort of match.
Game extending for very long, despite the fact that winners have been sitting on a gold lead. Again, just attributing, I hate to say it over and over, but winners with their Baron were not as successful as they could have been in continuing to snowball the game. They do still have that 5th dragon win condition, so the time is ticking for CJ. They've got 1 minute to prep for this to try to steal it. Coco and Shy have done all that they can. It's now up to space.
And perfectly synced up Dragon and Baron counters here. We'll have to see what each team wants to go for, of course, with
5th
4
dragon.
Barons in the hand. Well, but even then, they can play around Baron as well. They can force CJ to go fight.
Oh yeah,
Dragon
all of
and
the
take
power.
The Baron.
The onus is not on winners here.
Yes.
It's on CJ to make a play. So now we're going to see how patient and methodical winners can be in high pressure situations. And we're going to see if CJ's veteran status can lead them through this process and at least buy them another 6 minutes.
Something we haven't seen so much from them this game, but it'll be important to be incredibly decisive wherever they decide to engage with whatever they decide to take. If they make a wrong move here, most likely winners will be able to end the game against them. 5th Dragon or another Baron should be enough to do it. However, CJ pushing in, making sure that they have vision control, at least on this Dragon. Not wanting to give up the 5th buff, not wanting to give up that aspect. The Rang Blade coming out. Little bits of poke here and there on both sides. Nothing too major. Both sides clear vision of the other. Okay, so they're really far forward here.
They're playing around the 5v5 as opposed to just
Trying to
throwing
go
the Baron.
down. Lee's going to secure that one, so it will not be 5th Dragon. Lambs with Bite thrown down early. CJ trying to disengage via the Alistair and Mad Life ambition, making it to safety. A great Gnarl. There's the Wombo combo once again, and Coco, no chance, is another beautiful Veigar stun comes out. The double for Sivir. 1 kill for Kindred, 1 kill for Veigar, and the ace for winners.
And that will surely be the inhibitor, which they can then fall back and take the Baron at any time. What I was saying is, winners not playing around the Baron at all. They prioritized the fight. They knew that they were ahead. They knew that they could win it. And again, they used the Dragon as effectively an arena to engineer this victory.
And just such amazing teamfight prowess coming in from winners. CJ, a team that we normally attributed great teamfighting strength to, but at the end of the day, winners will close this game out. Game 1 once again in favor of the underdogs here at the KeSPA Cup. Will CJ actually be able to come back in Game 2 after such a dominating performance?
I mean, we just saw Ever take down Samsung Galaxy, and now CJ has fallen in Game 1 against winners. These Korean challenger teams are coming out swinging. And we asked at the very beginning of this tournament, what are the implications in the offseason? Are these teams going to go hard and try to punch their ticket to IEM Cologne? Or is it going to be about experimentation, figuring out what kind of picks you want to play, what kind of identity you want to take into the next season? I don't know if that's the excuse for CJ, because they look very disappointed. Likewise, one of the only rosters here other than Anarchy that are starting all of their core players from summer. Kind of scratching my head.
Definitely, with a roster this experienced, playing not only in League of Legends with so many veterans, but together as a team as well. It's rare that we see such poor performances, especially from teams in Korea who are known for their consistency, at least outside of Najin. Just known for, consistent performances, CJ especially, but they have been historically a very very meta-dependent team, and maybe this just isn't the meta for them.
And I just feel like that's a good point, because it kind of goes back to the problems that we were told about CJ. You know, this team, this is about Coco. He can be the hard carry of this team. He looks great on the Twisted Fate, but Shy and Space seem to be struggling. Shy getting his hands on the Olaf wasn't as effective as we'd seen Mimic do yesterday. Likewise, Space taking the Jinx as the denial away from Gank Zero and not showing up in the late game to the potential that his team needed him to get off the ground.
Well, we're going to have to see if winners can rinse and repeat that one, or if CJ will figure out how to bring their roster together. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
동맹에 참여하라. 그리고 세계를 정복하라. 게임 오브 워 지금 무료로 다운받으세요.
LTE 시대 놀랄 만큼 속도가 빨라졌습니다. 그런데 말입니다. 놀랄 만큼 요금도 비싸졌습니다. LTE 통신비 대안을 찾자. 헬로 모바일 다이렉트. 동영상 하나 여는 게 지갑 여는 것 같습니까? 음악을 듣는데 데이터 떨어지는 소리가 들립니까? LTE 통신비 대안을 찾자. 헬로 모바일 다이렉트.
편의점 택배구만. 15년 됐다지. 싸지, 가깝지, 잘 가지, 편하더군. 어른 얘기하는 대수.
인터넷 예약하면 더 편해요. CU에서?
보내 CU.
바라만 볼 것인가? Save the world. 힛.
이연분 그가 만든 짜장면도 가루스프를 뿌리면 라면이 됩니다.
이래야 진짜 짜장이죠.
라면이 아니다, 짜장면이다.
발도 짜장면.
Show me how to lie, you're getting better all the time. And turning on against one isn't art that's hard to teach.
자, 자, 돌려주고. 자, 레이저 안 맞습니다. 안 맞습니다. 안 맞네요. 맞네요. 맞고 공중 판정이 아닌가요? 자, 한명 또. 한 번 더. 자, 3패. 레이저 맞추고. 레이저 맞추고 일단 레이저 확장. 버킹 로우랑 엘보 이제 강제로 걸려야 돼요. 자, 로우랑 엘보를 줍니다. 자, 페이스가 모으는데요? 이거 완전히 말렸는데요? 자, 시크릿. 또 이러면 막 버킹걸 때리면 퍼펙이죠. 라운드도 퍼펙으로 마무리됩니다. 시크릿 우승.
정말 쟁쟁하신 분들이 많이 올라오셨는데 어떻게 제가 마지막까지 그냥 포기 안 하고 하자는 생각밖에 없었는데 어떻게 지고 있는 상황에서도 잘 역전 같은 것도 좀 많았던 것 같고 좀 제가 생각했던 대로 잘 준비한 대로 그대로 돼가지고 그게 되게 좋았던 것 같습니다. 이번에 안주하지 않고 더 지금보다 준비를 더 체계적으로 하고 또 일본에 있는 유저들의 영상도 많이 봐서 이제 좀 파악도 많이 한 다음에 확실하게 준비를 해서 일본을 갈 생각입니다. 한국 철권에 자존심을 걸고 꼭 반드시 우승하고 돌아오겠습니다. 화이팅!
그 전신인 MIT 때부터 지금까지 이어져 왔으니까 4년은 되지 않았나.
역사가 깃들어져 있는 되게 그런 팀인 것 같아요.
항상 유리한 고지 앞에서 계속 꺾이고 하다 보니까 부담감도 많이 생기고 항상 그 자리에 올 때마다 또 실패하면 어쩌라는 생각이 많이 컸던 것 같아요. 팬분들도 많이 안타까워하셨을 것 같아요.
마지막 대회인데 이번 캐스파컵에서 증명을 해야 될 것 같아요.
All right, here we are for game 2. Once again, the underdogs up 1-0 as winners take a pretty confident win over CJ. Here we are in the Nexon Arena, guys, for the Neighbor KeSPA Cup. Once again, my name is Daniel Sifa Dracos. With me is Ryan Frosker and more, noted Sunfire Cape enthusiast and fan of unconventional build paths.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that one, but I'm really excited about Winner's performance. Again, it's hard to really say across the board who's the definitive carry there. I know Murphy did get his hands on that Kindred. Kindred 100% win rate for the tournament so far, but I really didn't feel like he was the hard carry there. Or even, I mean, Kindred as a champion is always incredibly viable just because she's doing so much damage with her passive and the fact that it doesn't have a cap on it.
Of course, just...
But
there were...
I feel like that was CJ. That was CJ playing...
Definitely.
Not very efficiently.
Yeah, agreed. And there were some excellent plays from Knight, from Gang Zero. Even some of the Lambs for Spites were
Knight
great.
is good.
Knight is very good. Gang Zero also played very well. And a quadra kill to his name. A great Lambs for Spite from Murphy, but definitely not a carry Kindred player, at least not from what we've seen so far. Honey Tank, once again, though, going to see his ribbon banned away. Callista also taken off the table. Don't want to give Space the opportunity to throw Mad Life in the middle of his team.
I mean, Mad Life could be there after that Alistar performance and probably miss the Pulverize. Not the greatest game from him.
Yeah, it's sad to see such a strong player at so many times in his career, but that last game was definitely not a testament to that.
They want Kindred.
It's clear that they're ready to play around it once again. They have not taken it off the table. We'll have to see if CJ wants to ban it away, and what do they risk leaving open? They use a ban on Kindred here.
I feel like banning Rise from blue side. They're trying to get a high priority pick like Kindred, like Fiora.
Tom Kench, of course, taken off the table as well. Not really too many surprises there. Just keep benching the Kench, I think, should be the overall strategy for just about all of these teams. You've seen just how versatile it is, how powerful it is, and how it can be really strong and aggressive, like we saw in our previous games today, but it can also be very defensive, as we saw on the world stage, and it seems like that kind of flexibility makes it a very terrifying pick. And additionally, just the note button of that Devour makes it so frustrating to play against. Diana also taken off the table. Very interesting. Coco has played this one in the past. It's been a long time, of course, since we've seen it pulled out here, but...
He played it twice in the game against Jinair. Last time we saw CJ Entus.
In both of their wins, actually, we've seen what Coco can do when he gets ahead, when he starts to snowball this champion. So interesting that it's being banned now. I guess now that they have last pick on red side, they don't want to get counter-picked with the Diana. Maybe that's why they're taking off the table. But Kindred getting a lot of respect here. We saw Space denied a couple of rocket kills because of that Lamp for Spite. But Honey Tang gonna first lock that Gangplank instantly.
Saw Crown on earlier today. Unfortunately, was not able to carry Samsung to a victory, and they are out of the tournament with Gangplank. See if winners can put CJ down and 2-0 into the round of 8 with it.
So far, Gangplank has a 0% win rate, actually, here in the KeSPA Cup. Very surprising turn of the stat when he was basically undefeated on the world stage.
I think his itemization is just way too expensive. Lulu was also kind of a big high priority pick left open. She is going to be picked up in second rotation by CJ.
Of course, this is going to force CJ to play around someone that is not Coco, however. Or Shy can also take the Lulu up to the top lane if they want to give Coco a more hard carry style top laner. But this does mean that Murphy will get his hands on that Nidalee. Now, it's not a pick we've seen from him yet, but it is something that he is comfortable with. Knight, additionally, most likely will pick something a little more defensive. Maybe hoping to save or wait one more rotation before locking his mid laner. Looks like it could be the Lee Sin Fresh here.
Olaf would be interesting. That would surely mean that Knight is going to be taking Gangplank into the mid lane.
Could potentially see the Olaf jungle. It's been a long time, but obviously popularized by Laneover, the European LCS. Although maybe not the most efficient. Gragas will be the lock-in. Olaf, or rather not Olaf, Thresh also going to be picked up here for Goku.
Ooh, Echo.
Echo pick we haven't really seen a whole ton of. A little bit in the mid lane. Maybe it's a positive matchup against Victor, or was used against Victor for a while there. Additionally, since the nerfs to jungle Echo, just has not been the pick that it once was.
Coco did play it. again, also in that Jin series where he played 2 Diana. So, has touched it recently. I feel like CJ are just kind of scrambling for...
I'm really wondering if CJ did the necessary research coming into this meta, because it feels like winners know exactly what they want, are drafting around these picks, and it feels like CJ are just picking exactly what they used to. This Braum pick, not something we see too much of from Mad Life, or at least we haven't recently, but if they do decide to lock it in, they've got a pretty solid front line, and it's starting to look like a Protect the Tristana comp coming in here from CJ.
Like Tristana, she's going to open up some fast push potential with her satchel impact on towers. Again, the question mark still is Shy going to be taking that Lulu into the top side, or will Coco have her in the mid lane, obviously being used as a flex pick? Gang Zero says, I like the Sivir. Going to try it again. It's like Gragas top lane.
Not entirely sure. There was a hover over in the jungle for Murphy. He had Ghost for a little bit there. Maybe they were thinking about putting Olaf jungle again. Thinking for some different picks here. Use that Gragas as a flex. It's been a long time since we've seen Gragas as anything but a jungler. It doesn't look like we're going to see it today here either, as Fiora is the hover over. Of course, 2 very different compositions. Winners sticking with a solid core based around that Sivir, however. CJ once again with a late game scaling AD carry. Lulu, though, the big standout here.
I really like the Fiora priority over the Gnar, especially because Gragas is already picked up in the lineup. Papa Smithy talks about this all the time, just the anti-synergy between Gragas and Gnar, simply because Gragas is going to be using his displacement cask to scatter everyone, and Gnar wants everyone, grouped up so he can find a big wombo combo against some sort of terrain. So I feel like there's more love with the Fiora Gragas combo.
Definitely good to avoid that anti-synergy. Now winners have shown that they're confident in those team fighting scenarios, but no reason to risk that. No reason to risk that anti-synergy. Now, Renekton the hover over here. I was wondering if we'd see the Malphite. There's just so much AD on the side of winners here, but with Gangplank's armor penetration and with Fiora's true damage, it may not be the best choice. Renekton, however, is still that lane bully, despite all the changes made over all the patches. A matchup we saw on the world stage a number of times as well, so I'm really curious to see if this is something that Shy can play comfortably. Renekton was, during his era of top lane dominance, Renekton, the Jax, the Shen, really comfortable during that time. Wondering if he can bust out those same skills today.
He's such a renowned Shen player, and Shen actually is fitting quite nicely in the meta, especially because double teleport's being useful, more so as a support pick, just because you're trying to counter the double teleport with bringing as many global or semi-global ultimates as possible, but like you said, deciding to go the Renekton option against this Fiora and look for some kill pressure. Question is, will CJ's side lanes come alive, or will Coco fizz out with this Lulu? And zero support.
It's very odd to put Coco on a non-carry style champion, and it really did not work out for them in the previous game. Space, of course, has stepped up in the past, but once again, we talked about preferring to see him on utility champions. However, Gank Zero has already proven himself as a utility AD carry and may be able to beat or win out on this lane phase once again.
Yeah, did do well last game. They prioritize kind of a siege composition. They've got the potential to do that as well, and great dragon control with that Gangplank in the top lane. So we'll see if they continue to siege around objectives, disengage, and find the right team fights when they've already amassed a gold lead and 2-0 CJ Entus, or if CJ Entus can come back with their veteran status.
We'll have to find out in just a second.
Bam!
As the teams get ready to leave the base. You can hear the cheers. Hopefully you can hear the cheers of the fans in the audience. They're absolutely ecstatic.
The crowd is behind you, CJ.
Exactly. Despite CJ losing out on that first game, CJ fans have not lost confidence. Truly loyal group. Gotta respect that.
I mean, at this point, after everything they've been through.
You can't. We did this to IM yesterday. We can't just do this to every team that is inconsistent. You gotta. Sometimes you just want to. We're CLG fans. We can't hate on that. you got to respect people for sticking with it, right?
Is an invade coming through for CJ just because they have the power of the level 1 Braum. But the thing that I want to talk about is Lulu and what Lulu opens up for compositions. It's very easy to talk about how Lulu just empowers your AD carry, that she's just this incredible lane bully, and she's got so much utility, great mobility. The thing that I love about Lulu in team fights is her ability to isolate targets, using her whimsy and elongating those fights and kind of manipulating control over fights. And what I like about that is in tandem on this composition, you have reset potential from Tristana and janitor cleanup from Elise. And so when you have a champion like Lulu who can isolate targets and chase people down using all of that utility, it works wonders when you can then get the resets, get the rocket jumps, and open up the repels and the janitorial power of Elise.
We've seen exactly how powerful those resets can be. Tristana still very much on the map as a top-tier AD carry. Maybe a little bit more comfortable for space, especially if CJ can get aggressive here. Lulu, of course, team fight kind of manipulation, as you said. But
the kite potential is so good.
Additionally, just looking at the mid-game strength of this lineup as teams make some pretty standard starts here. Renekton and Lulu together in that mid-game are going to be absolutely devastating. Looks like a little bit of a lane swap coming out here, though. Boku and Gang Zero on the bottom side. Space and Mad Life sticking to the top. Have to see how each team plays around this lane swap, where they want to put their attention, and if we're going to see a fast push this time around.
Big difference is the fact that Boku did manage to walk into the lane and draw the creep aggro into his wave, whereas Mad Life and Space chose to take the... I think they took a camp or they leashed for their jungler, but with 4 members of CJ onto the top side, this should be a fast push. Both AD carries, Tristana and Sivir, are very potent at taking down quick early towers.
Of course, Tristana with that satchel, and Sivir with that auto attack reset on the ricochet, in addition to a supreme amount of laser.
Kind of a misstep from Winners here. I'm commenting on the fact that they decided to not do the vertical jungling to their strong side, despite, like, they have a ward, so they know that the blue buff is up, so instead they've kind of wasted a lot of time walking towards the wolf camp. Honeytang is backing? Heading top would be suicide.
Minor mistakes like that can cost a lot in the long run. I can't imagine that we will see the teleport. It would surely be suicide. Murphy, at least, may head over to that jungle to take that blue buff. CJ's experience in lane swaps kind of showing through here.
Yeah, Winners really kind of fumbled just some slight posturing there. The wave is now finally crashing in for CJ, so they should be able to take this tower relatively easily. On the other side, despite the fact that only 2 members of Winners prep or are down there prepping the tower, because they drew aggro into the wave, they got to build it up a bit more and stall it before it hit the tower, so they should have more minions to work with and trade this effectively.
Helping balance out some of the smaller jungle mistakes here. Now, of course, Mad Life and Space, their most played lane would be that Thresh Sivir is what we saw the most, or the most from each of them as individuals. So they knew that they didn't want to match up into this lane in the 2v2, and as a result, just look so confident to just go into that lane swap. And Winners are going to get this, but it's just much, much more sloppy overall.
I mean, yeah, they took the 2 tower hits and they lost some experience and control in terms of where Honeytang was going around on the map and not getting the most effective clear. But again, I just really have to congratulate or point out to Boku, making sure that he got the aggro pulling the wave, so that meant that CJ's wave were focusing down Winner's wave, pushing it back so they were able to get 3 waves stacked as opposed to just 2. So they were able to take down the tower with only 2 members as opposed to CJ's 4. So that really kind of saved the day, and they were able to trade the towers effectively.
Solid play coming in from a very young team. Once again, wave control, something we don't always expect from these challenger level teams. But good to see it coming out here. Coco playing incredibly aggressive on the Knight. Now that he has the tools to get aggressive in lane, he seems absolutely undeterred by Knight as he pushes in there, bullies out, and Knight will surely have to burn TP to get back to lane comfortably.
Hit him with the sparkler, Coco. Get in there. Get him, Cappy. I feel like there should be a sparkler. Hello, Murphy?
Murphy, a little bit aggressive here. I don't know exactly what he was thinking. That was very risky. Going to lose a lot of health here.
Well, obviously, he didn't expect them to be there because he went over the wall.
Yeah, definitely may have wanted to throw the barrel and walk around the corner first. Will learn from that mistake, so nothing too big there. If this had been 5 minutes later in the game, he may have found himself blown up almost instantly. A little bit more forgiving this early on when people just don't have the damage. Honeytang may find Ambition. Ambition going in for a quick trade here, but isn't going to win out in the sustained trade, and Mad Life is not here to support him yet. Murphy on the back side. Team going to find too much here. Just going to try to defend this turret as FaZe tries to push in for another one.
CJ is undeterred. They're looking for the dive. How will they juggle aggro?
They look to take it.
Here comes the teleport.
Space is going to start the aggro. Murphy is in there. Going for it. Have 2 stacks. Going to finish out. Shy could move in. Going to get 1 stun. Going to get 2 stuns. Murphy will surely go down here. Rapace coming out as well, and it will save Honeytang's life. And Murphy going to drop, and CJ may find another tower.
And the real beauty of this play is the fact that they have the TP advantage. Yes, Honeytang's TP is up, but they're ganking the teleport. Now, in the mid lane, Knight trying to impact the bottom lane because he can't TP down there by using his cannon barrage to stall out the tower. But great identification of CJ to say, gank the teleport. We have the advantage on the cooldown in our mid lane.
And confidence in tower dives is not something we've seen so much from Korean teams in this tournament, but it's absolutely crucial when you want to press an early advantage, and CJ seemed to be happy to do just that. Now, only a 500 gold lead in their favor. May have been more. Knight's quick thinking, stopping that from getting any bigger than it already was, but overall, still some good showing from CJ, looking a lot more confident in this game too.
We talked about the veteran status. You know, CJ players have been around for a very long time, and it really showcased itself, at least in the first 7 minutes of this game with the lane swap. See if they can keep it up. It's really just about Space and Shy stepping up with Coco and being the triple threat that this team has the potential to be, that their fans expect them to be.
Space, Mad Life clearing out the mid lane. As you said, you know, a lot of fans' hopes riding on the CJ lineup, and for them to go down against an amateur team would truly be disappointing, not only for the fans but for the lineup. Honeytang, though, taking on Shy, a perfect riposte on that stun. Now, so often that could be the difference between life and death, but Mad Life going to be there to back it up. Absolutely brilliant riposte and very sloppy from Shy.
Yeah, not looking too comfortable in there. Starting to really open up a CS discrepancy between these top laners as well. Honeytang 32 also cleaning out that wave, whereas Shy is going to be donating this wave mostly into the waiting hands of Space.
Space more than happy to pick that one up once again on a hyper carry. This time, though, gonna match his opponent and itemize that Avarice Blade. And to make it to the late game a little bit sooner this time around, but will, of course, sacrifice a little bit more mid-game power.
It's completely fine. I understand the itemization for the Avarice Blade. It synergizes both with Sivir and Tristana just because they're so proficient at farming. Big difference here, though, is Shy may be in a little bit of trouble. Although I think that they're just going to take the tower. Diving a Renekton with only 2 people would be pretty suicidal, but if he doesn't have his tower...
Going to use that ultimate. Gangplank ult coming in as well. Shy's still going to walk away, though. Level 6, absolutely perfect timing to keep Shy alive, but still very questionable for him to be there.
And likewise, the larger point that I was going to make is CJ will probably surely collapse on this dragon or the mid lane, is that winners have decided that they're going to sacrifice their dragon control to fast push towers, but hold on.
Ambition getting hooked out. The grand challenge has been issued. Fiora will be able to close it out. However, Ambition will not burn down. Honeytang flashing over the wall will have the dash, can clear that one up, and suddenly Coco's looking a little bit out of position. Wild Growth used to help him stop it, but it's not enough. He is going to try to run away, but will go down to Boku's hook. Space jumping over the wall to make it to Savvy, but has to sacrifice Mad Life in the process. No hope for the support of CJ.
CJ are just getting ripped apart right now. I was saying that winners have sacrificed their dragon control to fast push the towers by keeping 2 people up in the bot lane, but with a massive misplay like that and a great catch by Boku, they sacrificed their dragon control.
A 1k gold swing back now in the favor of winners. Almost 2k as they push this up, and additionally will get that first dragon. Those scaling stats going to help out this all AD lineup immensely. Tank Zero pushing in the mid lane as well, and winners are in the driver's seat this time around.
Good to see the replay right here. It really just starts. Ambition shouldn't have been that deep. Didn't have eyes on enough people. Just get burst down so quickly now that they have control over the jungler. Again, this should have been the free objective for CJ, for the trade, and the fact that they lost their tower in the top lane. But getting caught like that sacrificed any sort of counterplay that they had left on the map.
And just one of the beautiful things about this team fight as a whole is just how well coordinated they are on their target selection. No one focuses on Space. No one worries about these other targets, but overall just so confident as Coco may be their target for a second time. The cast flashing in with another amazing play. Murphy picking that one up for his team.
You should know that winners are going to be in that mid lane. It's the last standing outer tower. The dragon is down. That's the most important objective on the map for them.
Ambition hooked out as well. Murphy once again snagging that one. Winners are dominating CJ, and CJ are just not giving them the respect they deserve. Shy may try to go in here, but is it enough at this stage of the game? Knight not gonna get taken out. Bromwald is coming out. Murphy on the back line space trying to get something, but Honeytang is going to take him down if he sticks around in this fight. They will get Knight. They may get Gang Zero in this exchange as well. CJ turning around a quick 3-0.
And finally, CJ finds some breathing room, but it's really off of just a massive mistake. So Winners had the lead of this game. They still technically have the gold lead, although this tower might swing that back on proactive plays, on engineering and setting up their plays. CJ have found their foot back into it on simply being reactive and punishing an overextension. So both teams have made mistakes, but where they're finding their leads are very different.
And you can see Ambition just immediately blown up here, but Shy, confident in his team, sees the other members rotating over, wants to go in here, uses the Dominus, tries to get a kill, is burning down Knight, and now Madlight, excellent ultimate here to zone out Gang Zero, to keep his backline safe. Honeytang trying to create some pressure, but just does not have the damage or the mobility at this stage of the game to threaten space under that tower.
Just overzealous, overconfident. Great response time from CJ that time around. See if they can continue to slow down this game now. Should be noted that they do have the gold lead. Never mind, I was going to talk about the standing tower, or the standing gold.
Both teams are now even on the towers. All the outer towers are done. The map is much more open as a result. Much more risky wandering for one's own jungle. Winners have this mostly warded up on the bottom side of the map.
The more the map opens up, the more power it gives to Sivir, just because her ultimate and her mobility become that much more important. On the counter side to that,
Space.
Oh,
Ooh,
nice
an
rocket jump.
excellent rocket jump. That input buffer keeping him alive.
On the counter side to that, you do have Coco with the Whimsy.
Very true. Coco, not too much ability power under his belt yet, but that movement speed will continue to scale as they move forward into the game and as he finds more items. Sivir, of course, and Tristana relatively even in items. A slight difference in CS, of course, death to Sivir's name as well, but everything pretty much even across the board. Single items in each of their inventories. The one advantage for CJ is, of course, this massive Renekton. Source of 3 out of their 4 kills has now finished the Black Cleaver.
Going for more damage, but can he do anything with the Black Cleaver? Is he able to 1v1 Honeytongue at this point of the game?
We'll have to see. It does not look like he wants to choose that matchup, though.
It's got the higher level. He should be able to.
Space going in here. Gangplank ult on the side. Will that be enough? Gang Zero going to get popped up here and then blown up as Space gets that Mad Life there to secure that kill for the team. Shy going deep now onto Boku. Don't think he's going to be able to find this one as the box comes down. Play will be up in just a moment, but Mad Life committing. Going to hit a minion and back off.
And just like that, CJ explode and look back and sorts Mad Life with a nice prediction play on the flash to tag him with the Q. And it looks like they're going to get this tier 2 tower for free.
Excellent confidence play there from CJ to utilize the strength of Space. Punishing Gang Zero for overextending in that instance. Good play overall, excellent coordination, and giving the kill over to Space is really just the icing on the cake in that exchange.
Also brilliantly timed to the fact of where they're playing around the map and where their vision is strong. So they've got the triangle vision set deep into Winner's red side jungle, and that's going to time perfectly with the fact that this dragon is coming up in a minute. So see if CJ can continue their lead, stay strong. They've got their deep vision placed, secure it, take the objective.
Winners now suddenly on the back foot, a place they really have not been for the entirety of this set so far, and if they really want to play like an LCK team, they need to know how to play from behind, and it looks like they want to turn their attention towards Shy. Slice and dice, taking him to safety. Excellent movement from Shy there.
Good prediction on the death sentence to avoid that one.
Of course, relatively passive play at this moment. 40 seconds till the dragon. We can expect a conflict over that one. First dragon, very important for CJ.
They do have the item advantage in the fact that the Infinity Edge is complete for Space right now.
Space looks to use that, though, instead on pushing in the tower here, not looking to move down towards the dragon. that objective may go ignored for just a little bit, as they do have a very strong pressure point here. Honeytang not really in a good spot to contest, has not had the opportunity to back off.
It's because they're posturing between taking a tier 2 tower and the dragon, and at this early in the game, 15 minutes, that tier 2 tower is worth so much more in terms of map control. So that's why CJ are more than happy to evacuate from the pit and try to see if they can make that play. And that's why winners aren't going to react and collapse onto the dragon as CJ exit the area, because it would mean losing so much more. Now that they know that they can't make the play and winners reacted, they're just going to go and take the now free objective. It's been free the entire time. CJ just had a different opportunity at that moment.
Makes perfect sense. Well, they're going to pick up that one now, as you just said. Ambition will, of course, smite that out. Or not. But, of course, it's not under pressure, so it's not going to be
just giving him the extra gold.
Yeah. It's all planned, right?
Yep.
Gotta give him credit. Ambition, of course, didn't really have a very spectacular previous game, but is doing okay this time around. Has gotten blown up once or twice, but has also landed some pretty clutch cocoons. One of the many jungle transfers here in Korea. Murphy, of course, has been more of a career jungler, though. And I feel like he's outperforming Ambition, at least to a certain degree.
Ambition's really refined himself, though. I mean, it started rough in his role transfer. I would say that probably the weakest... I'm watching Mad Life just...
Yeah. Where's he going? Where's he going? This is the playmaker. Oh, it looks like they're actually going to commit onto this. Murphy going to have to burn that ultimate to keep himself safe. But as you said, no, I mean, one, yes, you have to watch Mad Life. But two, Ambition has very much become a better jungler. Now,
yeah, he's refined himself. Probably the weakest role as a whole across Korea is in their jungle talent pool left. I mean, you had people like Kakao and Dandy exiting, and that really hurt. You had a lot of role swaps going over, Ambition, Score. So it's just slowly been building back up, especially when you compare it to just how stacked the top lane talent is in Korea.
Yeah, and it's good to see Ambition perform better.
What?
Boku.
Those childbearing hips.
Mad Life. The shield just a little bit too big.
He just bent it like Beckham around that corner. That was like a 90-degree angle.
Those are the hooks that people just question mark, and all chat and solo queue.
Was he even facing that direction?
Of course, Mad Life gonna make it out safely. No follow up there. Boku just probably a little bit of pride factor hitting Mad Life with a hook on that one.
That's what it's about.
You won't give me Sunfire Cakes, you won't give me the pride. I mean, if solo killing Faker in lane is like a big thing, and obviously it is a pretty big thing, then hooking Mad Life at any point has to feel pretty good.
I think if you want to equate doing something to Mad Life as killing Faker, you like insta-lock Blitzcrank.
And it has to be, they have to flash. You both have to flash and you still have to hit the hook.
Yep.
Alright, that's fair. That's the Mad Life achievement.
Or you like throw your lantern, hit a hook, and then like flash over a wall and pull 20 people with the lantern.
All right, Riot. We need you to change the game to make this happen. Boku is ready to earn this accolade.
Put it on the resume. Beating CJ would be nice to go on the resume, and they are close to doing that, of course.
Definitely on the path to do so. Of course, additionally, Baron spawning in just a minute. There's no Kindred in this game, though, so it's hard to imagine either team trying to contest this early on. A little bit more of a farm game from both sides. Gangplank has finished the Trinity Force, but is still a long way from that Infinity Edge. The cost of this itemization, something you mentioned quite frequently.
One of the most expensive builds, if not the most expensive build for any champion in the game. I think it's pretty absurd, but the damage that he can put out, especially on an AoE level, is also absurd. Just need to stall out long enough, and CJ seem to be willing to do that. Again, they also have a late game scaling hyper carry in the form of Space's Tristana. Did a great job stalling out last game. Unfortunately, weren't able to pick up the win, but so far, again, we kind of have a lull on the front. Waiting for that dragon timer and just kind of amassing, hoovering up all of the CS and side lanes.
Shy, of course, a lot of power now that he has finished that Tiamat. We'll be able to animation cancel that Ruthless Predator if he so desires. Will make trading with Honeytang much easier, but he does have to be careful. Doesn't have vision of everyone on the map. Mad Life will be heading down shortly, though, and Honeytang giving him the respect he deserves and backing off there. Just going to be resigned to clearing out the waves.
Space trying to abuse Gank Zero with his superior range at this point in the game. Likewise, he has his team shadowing underneath him with the gold advantage. Nice.
No accolades today there, Boku. Of course, Both teams just backing off here. Neither one committing too far. Trying to go in for a post here. May try to find the engage. A beautiful explosive cast. Grand challenge has been issued, but no one else is there to help Honeytang. And Shy's just going to pick that one up. What are winners doing? Leaving their top laner out to dry.
At this point, they're losing. But here we go. Shy's got 3 people on the bottom. What does CJ do in the top lane?
He's gonna get one barrel. He tries to flash to safety, but he's not going to be able to get anything else. Gangplank will secure that kill, but just a massive misstep from the team. The Gangplank ult coming in on the box side to defend this tower.
Really nicely done, but they do have another wave prepped and ready for them. Likewise, Space is making the rotation. They've traded Shy shutdown bonus for tier 2 on the top side.
And an excellent trade it is. Of course, CJ just seemed to be one step ahead, and Shy on this Renekton really showing up after a very lackluster performance in the previous game.
And the question was, who will step up with Coco to lead CJ Entus to greatness? And Shy answering the call for this game. Still plenty of time left. Dragon spawning in 46 seconds. CJ have the power, they have the control. They should reset their position and start heading towards the pit.
See if they do just that. The winners are trying to push out the waves. Look like they may have something similar on their mind, but they'll have to be careful. Even after all that, CJ still with about a 2, almost 3k gold advantage. We're 21 minutes in. Both teams have a single dragon, so no advantage there for either side. AD carry is relatively even as well. It is going to be an interesting fight, but interestingly enough, no real armor outside of the Ninja Tappies for boots on the side of CJ. I'm wondering if we'll see that change now that Renekton has finished that Ravenous Hydra. If they'll continue to ignore the single damage type present on the side of winners.
I love that they're just no cares. They're just going full damage Renekton.
I just think Black Cleaver and Tiamat, maybe not Ravenous Hydra, but Black Cleaver and Tiamat are just so ridiculously good on Renekton. The armor shred, the mobility, the animation cancel, so strong overall. Shy, though, continuing to split push as his team moves down to take this Baron. Murphy could look for the steal. Cloak's going to go in. Barrel could be detonated. Blue are going to take that one. But overall, still going to be the dragon over to CJ.
I don't know what Knight's doing so far forward. Got the red buff.
Find much else. Sapphire charge will detonate in just a moment. Shy tempted to go in, but not going to follow through. Small mispositionings from the side of winners is costing them so much. CJ could look to turn their attention towards this Baron.
Looking for the bait here. I've already chunked out Knight. He does have the teleport available.
Knight has the TP. He is just going to come up and move forward with the team. They see the TP coming in.
I feel like that's a bit of a waste.
A bunch of members in the bush. They're going to move in onto Murphy while the rest move onto the side. Shy is so tanky. No one can step up to face him. And Honeytang trying to get something, but will just get burned down. Sivir running for his life as Murphy will surely drop as well. Flash forward from space. The heal used for the movement speed, but only a single kill going to drop in his favor as 2 overall drop on the side of winners.
But with so many blinking health bars on Murphy and 2 down, it is going to be a good chance to step up into this Baron. We'll see if winners attempt to contest it at all.
Zero appears to be backing at this stage. A very odd choice. I'm not sure why he did that. This is very risky. Sorry, it looks like someone else backed completely. Shy backed. Of course, just going to heal up, TP back to help his team. Moving forward. Oh my god, the damage in that exchange. Gang Zero going to get one, but is it going to be enough as the team does get Baron and Shy nearly uncatchable. Knight trying to find something, but is the bomb going to take him out? No. He ate oranges. It was K, but the Baron has gone down.
And CJ in full control. This looks much more dominating what fans expected, especially against a team like Winners coming out of the Korean Challenger Circuit against the 3rd place LCK team. Shy, 5-1-3. He answered the call for Coco.
And I was so very skeptical. I knew this was a pick that we had seen on the world stage, and I wasn't sure if Shy was going to be able to show up, but he is absolutely dominating the one-man front line as he just leapt forward to block winners from getting into that fight. Now, CJ have the Baron, and they're going to be free to push down this mid lane. If they can get an inhibitor, this will be a good start or a good mid-game for them overall.
And it really just comes down to the fact that CJ are so far ahead of the clock in terms of their itemization and winners in general that Shy's able to get away with just a raw damage build like that and not be punished for it.
Honeytang gonna get spotted out here. Glitterlance, the hit confirmation sound will reveal his presence. Murphy gonna try to find his way to safety. A lot of vision control on the bottom side of the map from CJ. They have to be hungry for more as Tristana takes down that mid-tier tower.
Priority will always be the mid inhibitor as well as the bottom inhibitor, just because if you secure the bottom one, it's pretty much the Baron inhib. Should give you a free pressure point to play with should you need second Baron to close out the game.
Interesting point of contention for winners. CJ, of course, taking down these outer inhibitor towers, very important to give them a sustainable advantage. The pressure inhibitors create very valuable, and they're going to take their first tower. Why was no one there to stop that? Winners seem to be completely lost now that they no longer have the advantage. As CK, or CJ rather, just keep pushing for more.
And we talked about this, you know, the difference between an LCK team and a Korean Challenger team is going to be in your experience in making these tough map play calls. And winners, we haven't seen any sort of indication that they can play from behind. And they're spiraling out of control right now.
In fact, all evidence has been to the contrary. They look completely uncomfortable. No one was present to protect the tower, but they could find a kill on the Shy. An excellent explosive cast, getting burned through immediately. But what is the pick going to mean? Gangplank ult coming in on the back line. They're not done yet. Mad Life getting slowed up here. Gonna try to knock back and disengage, but Gang Zero is relatively safe. Mad Life will surely drop here. Uh-oh, on the side, Honeytang tries to find the flank, but instead CJ will find him. Turns against them so quickly. CJ could find another tower here.
That's 2 Baron buffs down, however, and winners are trying to bite back.
Not going to be enough, though. Space is just too strong at this stage of the game, especially with the Whimsy in his hands to outmaneuver his opponents as they will break their first inhibitor. And the errors from winners have been far too frequent as they lose their first inhibitor.
More so what is expected, but it is the top side inhibitor. Means that CJ won't get anything else with their Baron as it times out. Dragon is going to be spawning. 1 minute will be the 3rd Dragon for CJ, so helping them out with that movement speed.
Which will, of course, be very crucial to sort of the pick-style gameplay they have been playing so far. Shy getting caught out. Truly unfortunate. This whole play is actually just very awkward. As they move forward, they're trying to commit, but Honeytang on the side just overextending, not respecting the damage present there. And Honeytang really loved the Gnar from him. Really excellent team fights. Questionable build pass. Not great laning phase, but the Fiora just has not been working out for him. I don't think these carry-style champions are for him, despite Riven being consistently banned out against him.
I mean, it's an isolated incident. I mean, this could just be a poor game. Shy did get snowballed very quickly, very effectively. And in the case of that play, it's not like he saw them and just didn't respect the damage. He just didn't know that they were there. Just lack of awareness.
Ooh, Murphy a little bit too eager. Thought Coco was going to back up on that one. The Lantern going to take him to safety. Mad Life going in here, though. There's that Renekton on the backside. Gang Zero not going to get any blocks off, and that means he will go down. Thresh sure to follow Murphy right in the middle of this CJ meat grinder as he gets ripped apart as well. Knight trying to get out. Eating oranges may not be enough as Lulu pushes forward. Glitterlance, though, going to miss. Devastation on the side of winners is 3-4 of their team dropping an instant.
Coco is just so impressive to watch on this Lulu, and Lulu's so impressive in controlling an area of a fight as CJ are knocking down in these Nexus towers.
CJ looking much more confident in this second game. Shy's dominating lane performance, helping secure their victory over winners. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to a game 3 as CJ will surely take down the Nexus and keep themselves alive and headed towards the round of 8.
CJ, much stronger performance this time around. Shy in particular stepping up on that Renekton. Space as well. So this is the expected performance from a top-tier LCK team. Coco still consistent as ever. See if they can take it into game 3 or if winners have something else up their sleeve. They did have blue side that time around and chose to use that on a priority pick for Gangplank. And again, Gangplank not finding a single victory so far in the KeSPA Cup.
An unfortunate statistic for sure, especially for a champion that was once so dominant.
I think he just takes too much ramp time.
And I think I just absolutely agree. And for a champion that lacks so many mobility options, it feels like the in between the stage where you're doing just a little bit of damage and where you're two-shotting people, you're just so vulnerable.
He kind of reminds me of Ziggs in terms of how he's being played right now. His cannon barrage being used as kind of a semi-global presence to clear out waves across map, and it's more about clearing waves effectively and controlling them rather than his siege potential and his ramp time mid-game power spikes. So I think that's kind of the big downfall. Again, the double teleport meta for the mid really shifted things.
Definitely has changed a lot, and we'll have to see if winners can change their pick ban strategy. So this was very interesting for me in terms of actually how the game played out, because it's starting to look very similar to Game 2 initially, and I was very nervous with this Renekton pick, but CJ gained control over that game with such confidence towards the end there.
They made much smarter macro play decisions in kind of forcing winners to choose between different objectives and just amassed a very slow gold lead before it spiraled into a team fight that allowed Shy to pick up those kills and be that massive threat. So CJ again showing their veteran shot calling.
Absolutely paid off for them. We'll have to see if that'll carry through to Game 3 as we head to a 5-minute break here. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
바라만 볼 것인가? Save the world. Hit.
이연복 그가 만든 짜장면도 가로수프를 뿌리면 라면이 됩니다.
이래야 진짜 짜장이죠.
라면이 아니다. 짜장면이다.
발도 짜장면.
동맹에 참여하라. 그리고 세계를 정복하라. 게임 오브 워 지금 무료로 다운받으세요.
편의점 택배구만. 15년 됐다지. 싸지, 가깝지, 잘 가지, 편하더구만. 어른 얘기하러 대신
인터넷 예약하면 더 편해요. GS25에서
보내 GS.
바라만 볼 것인가? Save the world. Hit.
Show me how to lie, you're getting better all the time, and turning all against one is an art that's hard to teach.
기분 좋지가 않거든요. 와, 진짜 비슷하게 치고 때렸어요. 저 횡신으로 때려갖고
지금입니다. 슬라이딩.
아, 예, 되게 안 했어요.
지금인데요. 슬라이딩.
콤보. 자, 노력입니다.
북선에서 한 방다. 그렇죠. 와, 저걸 부신권을 피해가지고 몸이 위축이 되어 있습니다. 자, 걸렸고 들어 올리고 때려 땡고 동전하다.
괴롭게 잘하네요.
노리고
지난주에는 너무 쉽게 져가지고 안타까웠는데 저 자신도 이번 주에 꼭 올라오려고 노력 열심히 했었고 그 결과가 이렇게 좋은 결과로 나와서 정말 기쁩니다. 제가 철권 7에 들어오면서 내 메인 캐릭터가 없어서 이렇게 못하지 않냐 뭐 이런 식으로 생각을 하시던데 저는 이 철권 7에서의 폴이 되게 좋거든요. 저는 가장 좋다고 생각해서 되게 노력을 많이 하고 폴로는 기상이라는 선수가 제일 유명한데 저라는 폴 유저도 있고 저는 이제 기상 선수와는 완전히 다른 모습의 폴이기 때문에 되게 기대를 많이 해주셨으면 좋겠고요. 다 없애버리는 식으로 해서 압승으로 진행을 해보도록 노력해보겠습니다.
now back for Game 3 between CJ Entus and Winners. A heated set so far, 1-1 on each side. We're here in the Nexon Arena. My name is Daniel C. Fadrakos. I'm being joined by Ryan Frosker and more. Pretty excited about this Game 3, I'm not gonna lie. Interested to see what comes out now that Winners are back on the blue side.
Yeah, okay, I had to think about that.
Yeah.
Or are Winners on? Yeah, they just lost on blue side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fairly interesting. CJ looked out of sorts in Game 1, much more confident in Game 2, shy in space and stepping up. But the thing about CJ is that they've been inconsistent on who's going to be the carry alongside Coco for pretty much the entire of Summer LCK. So see if they can keep it together for this best of 3. This is the final game that will be played and will determine who will move into the round of 8 for the KeSPA Cup, or if we'll have another upset like we did in the first set of Ever versus
Samsung. Yeah, still very surprising to see Ever take out Samsung, and pretty confidently too as well. This set though, Pokar's taking it to Game 3 as we head into picks and bans here. Ribbon and Callista already taken off the table. Kindred to follow, and it looks like we were wrong. CJ are going to remain on blue side, or be on blue side this time around. Winners on the red once again, maybe hoping to get that last pick, get Knight a favorable matchup in the mid lane, or put Honey Tang on something he's a little more comfortable on this time around.
didn't look too impressive on that Fiora, at least his score line didn't. Snar had a much more success. Curious what CJ are going to priority pick since they're banning Kindred from the blue side.
Will be interesting. Will they take the Renekton again for Shy, or was that just the counter pick? Elise also taken off the table. Interesting. Gragas was pretty effective for Murphy in the previous game, but Elise still being the target focus. I wonder what pick they're going for here. Perhaps the Rek'Sai for Ambition.
Yeah, 2 junglers banned from blue side. Final ban. It is going to be that Lulu. Actually agree with that one. Priority picks like Gangplank, Fiora, and Callista left up, and it is going to be Gangplank. 0 win rate. Hasn't won a single game in the KeSPA Cup.
Interesting that it's still going to be such a priority, but CJ happy to pick that one up. Murphy hovering over that Lee Sin. That's like most junglers, especially most Korean junglers, is incredibly comfortable on that pick and maybe able to use it quite proficiently in the early game. Hovering over the Italy as well. Looking like he may stray towards a carry-style pick this time around. See Knight there on your screen. Looking, it's a pretty neutral expression. Doesn't look super happy, doesn't look super upset. Kind of where you'd expect to be at a 1-1 in the series.
Been impressed with his play so far, his Veigar in Game 1 especially, with so many jungle picks. Looks like you are correct though, or excuse me, jungle bans, that Murphy is going to go ahead and take a more carry-oriented role, but kind of tells me that Ambition's going to easily either grab the Gragas or the Rek'Sai.
Curious to see what Ambition will pick up, but the Thresh in Italy coming through. Logan proved himself on that Thresh in the Game 2, although they did not end up winning. Still had some pretty solid hooks and initiations, catching out CJ members left and right. Murphy shifting gears to the Nidalee. It's going to be a different look for him overall. We did see the Kindred from him in Game 1. So the carry style not too far off, but Nidalee, of course, just not nearly as powerful as the Kindred in the current state of things. Tom Kench, though, of course, was let through the picks and bans and may get picked up here. Surprising that Thresh was picked over him on the side of Winners. Just so many powerful picks on 5.21 overall.
They want Jinx. So again, Gank Zero is a big Jinx player. He's known as one of the best Jinx players in Korea. The Lantern is going to offer, Kinch will offer a lot of mobility to AD carries in general, as well as some semi-global presence, but Thresh, obviously more time, players more comfortable with him, he's been around longer, will offer the same protection as well as a mobility to a escapeless AD carry. The Primal Surge on Nidalee empowering attack speed, which synergizes really well with Jinx's kit. I feel like it's going to be a Jinx.
Well, additionally, we now have the Veigar being picked up, so not only do you have the poke of the spears.
And I'm wrong. I set him up, and he's just like Sivir Veigar combo.
It's still true that they have a lot of early tower-taking pressure, though. The Primal Surge still a valuable attack speed spare. It's CJ, though, appear to be getting everything they want with the Jinx. Surprised that Tom Kench did not go through, but Mad Life may be desperate to try his hand at that Alistar once again after his lackluster performance in Game 1.
Quickly touching on the Sivir Veigar combo, Knight played it in Game 1. It was beautiful. They've already played a very similar composition to this in their Siege. It was how they snowballed ahead and were able to take a game off of CJ initially. Again, I just love that Sivir empowers Veigar to move quicker, to compensate for his lack of mobility, and to help him get into better posturing points to lay down that event horizon for big game-changing impact.
Definitely one of those champions we talk about time and time again when it comes to picks and bans, but Fiora hover over here. Looks like Shy may take his turn on that one. Now he pretty much mastered the Renekton side of that matchup. We'll have to see if Honeytang wants to take Renekton against it this time around. Maybe give Shy a taste of his own medicine, or if he has a different pick lined up to deal with this champion. But it looks like we may just trade sides here. I would be excited to see how Honeytang does.
Here we go. He's got the Renekton in his hands. Can he win the matchup as Shy did last time? But with that Fiora pickup, it means that Coco will take his hands onto the Gangplank. We've already seen Gangplank as a priority pick to counteract Rise, having the oranges available to get out of that CC. Likewise, Veigar's Event Horizon.
Will do very well in that instance. Additionally, we'll have a decent amount of safe wave clear to help protect the tower against that siege pressure we talk about time and time again. Interesting compositions from both sides.
5v5 team fight with late game scaling potential. Definitely more power late game on the side of CJ just because they have the Jinx, the Gangplank, as well as the Fiora. On the other side, you've got Veigar. So Winner's going for their, I'm going to call it the patented Siege comp, as they've shown in a single game.
The single game. Gotta build the terminology around the single game.
Yep. No, but they looked good in that first game. See if they can pull off the same type of win condition in game 2. And just look at that arena. As I say that, it's like, nope, look at the players.
Definitely. Looking contemplative. Space ready for hopefully another solid Jinx performance. But we'll get right into the game, guys, in just a second. Get ready for Renekton versus Fiora. Get ready for more CJ versus Winners as we take you into game 3. Wow. That second chain was significantly louder and more aggressive.
Wow.
I don't know what order they went in, so I can't be sure who that was, if that was CJ or Winners, but one of those groups of fans is very aggravated about the fact that this went to 3 games. And we're going to have to see.
I'm fairly certain that it was just 2 CJ shouts. It's hard. We're in a soundproof booth.
It's just loud mumbles. Loud mumbles of hype. But of course, here we are in game 1. Much more aggressive level 1 starts than we've seen in the past from either one of these teams. Both warding out for the lane swap. Who wants the 2v2 lane right now?
Either of them will be successful in a lane swap. The difference is that Thresh will... Well, Thresh provides a bit more in a 2v2 just because he has the range advantage on Alistar, but Alistar will have the built-in sustain. But particularly for Jinx and Ally, you want that lane swap just so you can unlock Mad Life to roam around to get those high-impact plays early.
Haven't seen a ton of early game plays from either of these sides. A couple kills in each game, but not really an immense amount of early aggression. Much more preferable for them to fight in the mid to late game, at least from what we've seen so far.
Looks like it will be a lane swap, however. Space and Mad Life posturing on the top side of the map. Likewise, both teams starting the strong side of their map, where their numbers advantage lies. Should see some vertical jungling. Honeytang, should be noted, is taking a Wraith camp.
May find himself with a decent advantage in the laning phase, and we'll have to see whether or not Renekton or Fiora can find a sizable advantage. We've seen how that matchup goes. One of them is able to snowball. And Coco looking quite comfortable against the Veigar in the mid lane, providing a lot of harass so early on, just spamming out these parlays and now zoning him off the creep wave.
He has the, what's the word? Flask. That's why. He's effectively trading health and mana for CS and damage, whereas on the other side, Knight took the Doran's Blade. So understanding that he has the sustain advantage, you have to think, even though, I mean, that's going to give him like 300 extra health to work with.
Early game, of course, much more important to have that flask of use for lane sustainability. And for Doran's Ring, Doran's Blade, although that would be an interesting build to start the Vigar off with. I would love to see the 80 Vigar hype.
No. Vertical jungling, both junglers do manage to secure their buffs. Question is now going to be where the 2v2 double jungles will end up on the map. Are they going to rotate down to the bottom side and start again with a fast push on the weak tower? Looks like that's the case for CJ as Ambition and Shy commit to this.
Jinx and Fiora shredding through this tower. Ambition and Mad Life there to protect them if anyone wants to come, if anyone wants to bring on the way up. Of course, Alistar's passive also useful for taking down those towers. Winners moving down to the bottom side, going to try to mirror CJ's strategy here, but CJ just a little bit faster. Jinx's auto attack speed steroid from that Gatling gun, just so oppressive when it comes to taking down early towers.
Question will be how they're going to set up their lanes afterwards, particularly for the top laners. Now, you can see that Shy did get the blue buff for himself, and more importantly, they do correctly bounce the wave, so it won't be a deep freeze for Shy. Should be able to just kind of sit up there and farm safely.
Honeytang being left alone with his tower, whereas CJ split it between Space and Shy. Slightly different strategies coming here on both sides. Will eventually take that one down. Mid lane still looking relatively Gangplank favored, at least at this stage of the game. Still able to bully out Vigar with the early pot itemization. Now going to try to push in the wave, but just doesn't quite have the damage yet. Vigar to be being burned. Available for another 5 or rather 4 minutes.
I mean, the last time this happened, CJ made the play where they gank the corresponding teleport, knowing that they have a numbers advantage if they gank the TP. So expect to see CJ collapse on Honeytang right here. There's the ping.
Goku could try to find the hook here. Fiora, of course, will have the riposte at level 3, though, so not too much threat on her under that tower. Thresh has to be careful about how he approaches those lane situations.
I feel like Honeytang knows that this is coming. This is exactly what happened last time. Yeah. Good prediction here.
Trying to back off here. They're just going to have to give this one up, but Space is being so quick to rotate around the map and take these towers, and that's the power of Jinx in the early game, is that she rips these apart.
But you have to understand, this scenario was engineered. Yes, winners are also getting damage onto the top tier tower, but this was engineered on the fact that Knight used his teleport to get back into lane, so the early bully from Coco
allows a lot of pressure to go down on the map, forces response elsewhere. Renekton forced back into the jungle just to clear out some camps and get what he can. Winners going to be able to get a turret of their own, but much slower overall. Honeytang, a little bit of pressure down onto him. Don't want him to comfortably sit into that tower or sit in EXP range. Spoken and the rest of Winners just kind of bully off here.
Trade tower for tower. Still fairly even. That said, CJ are continuing to push on this bottom side, and no one is coming to help Honeytang. If they lose a tier 2, which I don't think they have the minion wave for it, that would be devastating at 6 minutes into this game.
CJ, everyone is even right now, but if this tower goes down, CJ will find an advantage. They have a decently sized minion wave. Honeytang going to get knocked back and then knocked up again by the Rek'Sai on the initial dash, getting dropped on the Gangplank ult, and first blood to Coco as CJ will secure another tower.
Just so beautifully executed. This whole exchange has been engineered and manufactured for the past 2 minutes. Again, it just goes back to that teleport discrepancy initially that Coco managed to get on Knight to tell them to gank the other corresponding teleport, knowing that they had 2 available. So at best, that's going to be a 5 versus 2 situation if the jungler interacts. Take the bottom tower, prep the wave, get the second tier tower, pick up the first blood because you have the EXP advantage. That was awesome.
Excellent.
I'm just like, that was awesome.
Use of the TP, excellent use of Gangplank as an early bully and playing around those global summoners. And this is CJ reminding us of how they earned their place in the LKCK as one of the top teams. Now, you know, most recently, a little bit of a disappointing performance against Jin Air, a hurting performance in game 1, but now coming back here, desperate to get themselves into this round of 8. Winners, though, desperate to find something back as they advance onto this dragon.
That's fine. bottom tier 2 tower did not go down, but it is incredibly low. Pretty much a stiff breeze when CJ want to make their way back up there. Will put it down. Winners trying to get what they can. Like you said, taking the dragon. We're looking to see if Space would overextend to pick up a free kill right there, but CJ knowing exactly what's going on. But Shy, he gets the freeze in the top lane. Honeytang having to overextend without his flash. It's just going to lose so much CS.
Madlife getting a little bit cheeky there to stop that back. As you said, Honeytang just not in a good spot to secure this wave.
CJ are in complete control right now. They have complete control over every single side lane, as well as winning in the mid lane. Look at the CS discrepancy, 71 to 59. The fact that Coco got the first blood, so Coco's winning there. Shy, he's totally fine. I'll give up a dragon. I'll hold this wave. Renekton, you're not getting anything from me. 36 to 17 in the CS. And then just rotating Space around. He's got his Avarice Blade. He's ready to farm. The dragon's not there. He doesn't need the battle stats because they're not looking into a 5v5. Just going to sit back, 61 to 54. CJ are just murdering Winners early game.
Winners really struggling this matchup overall. One of the big questions for CJ in this matchup was, would Shy be able to adapt back to the carry style of top laner? He found a lot of success in the Cinderhulk meta. Fell off for a little bit, but now he appears to be back, at least in this matchup, dominating in CS. Was an absolute carry threat in the previous game and looking just much more comfortable as a laner in the last few matches.
And this is the adaptation from Winners. They're trying to put their duo lane into the top side, but that's just so early and so weak that one person is able to keep them off of the second tier tower, whereas on the other side, CJ are able to commit 2 people to take that one down simply because they'd already put in the groundwork to get it so low and to put Honeytang so far behind. So again, this first 10 minutes from CJ, I know you're like, oh, where's the killing? Where's the action? I just want them to dive towers and fight each other. I'm like, but they planned. They were methodical. Everything was calculated.
I really like the adaptation of putting your laners up against someone who has TP, just because obviously that global has no value.
It started in Korea when you used to have Kassadin take the teleport. Like, think about how long that was. Whereas before, Koreans would try to...
Ambition could be in trouble here. Gonna get locked down. Ignite being burned up as well. Really no hope for Ambition to get out of this one, and just a quick kill pickup for Winners.
I feel like this is Winners only. The saving grace is if they can just kind of Tigers this. Just have 5 people randomly show up in one spot and find a pick, consolidate their resources in the mid lane, try to force some sort of tower. But what I was talking about is the idea of ganking the teleport. Yes. A long time ago, the split push meta when Kassadin teleport was really prominent and popular. Kassadin would just kind of outmaneuver and you'd start a fight, you'd run away, and Kassadin would just take things. Or he'd draw attention and you'd lose something else on the map, and so it just got into this idea of where is the teleport, gank that, kill that, force the teleport out, and then we can set up to make a play on the map. It was almost like when prepping an objective, you just had to make sure, kill that teleport, then prep the objective.
It's interesting to see how League of Legends has evolved over that period of time. Teleport shifting in and out of the mid lane meta. Currently very popular, obviously. Very polarizing summoner spell as it stands. Good to see teams remembering their history, learning from the history. Obviously, and keeping that with them. CJ, of course, looking quite comfortable in this game. Gangplank, we talk about the long time it's going to take to scale, but with a 30 CS lead and a single kill, that clock is significantly reduced.
The most important objective on the map for CJ right now is going to be that mid-tier tower. They do have Madlife at level 6, so I'm actually really surprised that they're not looking to dive this with the Unbreakable Will, and instead are trying to just force creep waves into the inhibitor tower. I feel like they've got the vision on the bottom side of the map. That entire jungle is lit up. Just walk up behind this Vigar and punt him.
Ambition trying to do just that, but of course Boku's going to be smart enough to put himself in the position to save his mid laner if necessary. Always risking to dive that Vigar at any moment.
Not with Unbreakable Will. That was... CJ lost a lot of their momentum there. I think they were trying to reset a hard freeze from Honeytang, so again trying to deny him, and that's why now they're moving into the mid lane, but they've had this option available for a while.
May not get the kill on Vigar, but will still be able to grab the mid lane tower as they extend their lead to approximately 3,000. One of the biggest early game leads we've seen in this tournament overall. Most teams don't even begin to take objectives until this point on the map, but this time Madlife looks like he figured out what you wanted him to do and is now executing. Maybe too late though. Honeytang in the backside. Too many members are under the tower as Winners trying to get something back. CJ absolutely fumbled the dive. The hook comes out. The flash will take him to safety, but Winners are hungry for more. Murphy determined to get something back. Heel trying to take them to safety as Money Tam goes in. Will get space. Will get knocked up, trapped in the cage, and knocked out of the fight. Ambition will flash to safety, but Winners turn this game on its head. Or he'll die.
Seals his fate right there. Yeah, CJ overreach, diving the mid lane tower when they had so much vision. See, that was the big difference here. The entire surrounding flanking jungle was warded, so CJ would have information, whereas here they just don't. The members aren't in position. You're trying to dive a tower as the double teleport comes in. The Event Horizon locking up Shy right there, so he just has to sit and take the tower shots. It's a split front fight here. You've got 3 people of CJ over to the left. Meanwhile, Ambition's running around from behind. Just a mess.
Well, it will even the game up overall. And still a lot of standing gold left for Winners to take if they can find the ability to pressure out this tower and utilize that seed comp that we talk about so much. 1-5 the kill score. Have to see if Winners can turn this on its head, but CJ gonna grab a first dragon of their own now to help even up some of those stats.
They still lost a lot of momentum in that play. Will take the dragon, like you said. Likewise, Space should be setting up a slow push on the bottom side here. See how he wants to control the wave. Next priority objective with the dragon down for CJ is still going to be that second tier mid tower, although they do have significant damage onto the top side, so they could play to that. But it's still relatively early in the game, 14 minutes, that it's very hard to siege. So we may see the game lull for a little bit while teams just, again, starting to funnel that gold in, hit their item breakpoints.
Of course, we still see that same classic siege itemization you talk about again and again. The BF sword, the pickaxe, the Berserker's Greaves.
It's just the most cost-efficient build for pushing down towers as effectively as possible because you can't crit a tower. So why put the extra money into the Infinity Edge versus picking up the Avarice Blade because you're going to be farming waves anyway.
Makes a lot of sense. CJ pushing in, trying to find small advantages. Still feeling pretty comfortable to move in and try to take this blue buff. Hook coming out just a little bit late. They will get that one over onto Coco. Of course, with the most recent nerfs, that'll make Gangplank's time farming in the mid lane much easier, whereas previously, blue buff just really wasn't even a concern.
Blue buff at this point, it's an arena to force the enemy team to face check into you when you know that you're stronger. And CJ are going to continually take their opportunities to do that.
As a whole, though, Winners may be a little bit weaker, but Murphy is looking quite strong, 3-0 into his scoreline after that last engagement. They're going to juggle very quickly, has the Rod of Ages as well, so is prepped to go to the late game. Stay relevant as they move forward, but once again, as I said, just relatively passive game. Neither team looking to trade too many blows, pushing in for small objectives, small bits of vision, but no major plays here on the map.
Question will be if this Nidalee Murphy can step up and be a true hard carry here. You do have a lot of standing gold. Not a lot yet. We have 1 tower really left that Winners can acquire to really take advantage back.
Of course, taking down mid lane may be a difficult prospect, though. Gangplank has so much wave clear and just dishes out so much damage at this stage of the game. Only a Triforce under his belt.
He's like Ziggs. I feel like that's what Gangplank's become.
Very similar.
He's got the wave clear and cross-map wave control of Ziggs, and he's got the dragon presence and control of Rumble.
Powered auto attacks like Ziggs.
It's Pirate Ziggs. I didn't think we'd see the return of that champion.
It's going to be interesting to see if Ziggs comes back into the meta against Gangplank. That would be the most boring matchup we could possibly
Why would you? This is the thing. People, there's a difference between...
Easy who number 1. Ambition's going to get hooked up here and taken out. Look at that burst damage. Absolutely insane on the side of Winners. A quick, pretty casual pickup. Ambition caught wandering where he did not have the necessary control. Surely Winners are going to take down this tower.
And with Rek'Sai, even though you don't have the necessary vision if you're in Tremor Sense, you should be able to see if there's 3 people waiting for you around a corner. So good job from Winners. Again, falling behind on macro-oriented plays. Just group up, find a skirmish. Rely on your mechanics.
And really, this game has just been incredibly sloppy from Ambition, getting caught left and right, although Coco seems determined to find a fight here in the cage. Gonna get almost taken out here. Murphy on the hunt, not quite able to close it up. The heal not gonna be enough to save him, though, as Mad Life tries to disengage with the team. Space caught out as well. The cage is going down. Ambition once again might find himself knocked out, but they're gonna focus Space down first. CJ falling apart as winners take yet another fight.
And meanwhile, in the bottom lane, obviously that fight was done and done before Shy could even think to teleport, so that ends up being a 4v5. But what looked like an incredible early game from CJ has been turned on its head as winners push down second tier mid tower and take firm control of the gold lead.
And just small bits of overconfidence from CJ. Ambition not using the Rek'Sai kit to his fullest extent on that earlier pick. And overall, just not respecting Knight's Vigar. Absolutely amazing in these fights. And overall, I mean, even at this stage of the game, Nidalee 5-0-3 now, strong enough to fight this gangplank.
But look at how aggressive and far forward Coco is without having the vision of a flank. He's so far away from his team.
Just incredibly greedy play from him. Clearly some miscommunications here for this lineup as a whole, and Space has to burn the flash early just to escape that Vagar stun, and there's just really no hope for him. The Nidalee is too strong and too mobile for him to be safe without a front line.
See how they're going to recover from this. Dragon will be up in 50 seconds. Again, winners now have full control of the gold lead. Don't know what CJ's options are going to be.
CJ, of course,
looks like they're prioritizing tower control. Play the map.
Try to force them off. It looks like they may be able to get this one. Gangplank, of course, obliterating that wave as Jinx will surely rip through the tower. So CJ, despite a poor early fight, are responding pretty well to the pressure laid down on the map. They have 20 seconds before the dragon comes up. They could go to pursue it. I doubt we'll see them turn their attention toward Baron as Knight throws out a cheeky little event horizon.
They just need to lay down prep for these objectives. Need to move in areas, lay down their vision so they can't get flanked again like what happened in the last team fight. Get the barrels. Coco is very powerful, has his Trinity Force completed. Pop a few barrels and then take objectives. They've opened up a lot of space on the map just because they've acquired a lot of tier 2 towers, so they can continue to press creep waves forward and then wait for winners to respond to those creep waves and then take something else on the map underneath it. So again, in a full everyone's healthy 5v5, CJ are not strong. If they lay down their barrels, if they manipulate the map, they can still take these objectives for free.
CJ has shown us brief glimpses of greater macro play. The early game of this match in particular was particularly brilliant. I said that word far too many times.
Scuttle Crab is just about to wreck. There you go.
There's nowhere safe for him to go. Far too many traps. Of course, Honeytang now still pushing on the top side of the map. Shy going to go up to try to stop that. Meanwhile, though, winners posturing around the dragon, ready to engage on this one at a moment's notice. Doesn't look like we're going to have too much action here, though. This may finally be the duel on the top side of the map we've been waiting to see.
This is smart, though, that Space is in the mid lane. So CJ are shadowing underneath Space, trying to give him time to create another pressure point. But in response, winners are just going to jump on the dragon. They've got Mad Life.
No hesitation there. Mad Life going to have to burn that Unbreakable Will. Zap coming out as well to try to zone them off. But Murphy just throwing out spears. If he finds a target, surely someone from CJ will drop. But CJ just going to have to back off there.
Again, can't afford to take the 5v5 without laying down some of Coco's power beforehand. Give up free dragon.
Of course, that may change as he moves further in the game and has more damage. Maybe a little bit more comfortable going into those less prepared fights, only needing a single parlay barrel to dish out the necessary damage. But right now, I think you're right. May need more than just one to be effective. Honeytang once again looking for the duel.
Shy's amassed quite a sizable level advantage over Honeytang at this point in the game. Level 13 to level 11.
Definitely not where you want to be. Level 13, 2 maxed abilities now.
30 CS.
CS, I think, even more concerning. You can see the finished Black Cleaver and the finished Tiamat versus the bits and pieces of armor. As Honeytang has been forced on the back foot in terms of raw itemization.
And this was all started from, again, that first really nice 10 minutes of play from CJ. Pushing down those towers, making sure that they got the freeze, denying Honeytang around the map, and making sure that Shy got this type of advantage. But now needs to translate this advantage into his team.
Something he was incredibly successful with in the previous game. However, not really showing off so much in this game. Team not funneling nearly as many resources, nor is he finding really an early lead. Is, as you said though, out farming. So definitely a solid performance so far. Meanwhile, the 80 carries Sivir massively out farming at this stage, but no real item advantage from it yet. Merely the completed tier 2 boots versus the longsword on the side of Jinx.
The easiest objective for CJ to take is the mid-tier tower. But it's just so dangerous pushing that forward just because there's so many flanking opportunities from that mid lane, especially against an on the hunt from a Sivir. So...
And as well, CJ's confidence has to be shaken after they fumbled the last few plays.
I feel like they do the same thing every time, as we're literally looking at Shy split pushing across from Coco. We need to buy time because we're at an item disadvantage. So Shy, Coco, go push some creep waves, force the enemy team to run around, give us like 3 minutes. We'll see you at the next dragon fight.
Very interesting way to play. Slow and steady. Very Jin Air style play thing here. Never wanting to get too over aggressive, although CJ have made that mistake once or twice this game. 1-8 still the kill score, despite relatively even gold. Farm the major difference between these two teams.
Look at Shy right now, standing in Fog of War.
Well, where have we seen that one before?
From Marn, actually.
Yeah, very solid top lane play. Marn really defining the playbook for split pushing, at least in this season. Ooh, decent amount of damage, but Gangplank still not hitting as hard as he wants to. Once again, just very passive play from both sides. Kind of just waiting. Baron, of course, a major objective, but neither team willing to overcommit, I imagine. We may have to wait until the next dragon to see a large fight. Or CJ could just bait here. But even they are just going to back off in this exchange, so still very even map. Definitely anybody's game.
No, I completely agree, but I still like this is still better for CJ in this case, because again, they're still playing catch up, despite how, I want to say late into the game, because it feels like we're late into the game, but we're actually only 25 minutes in.
Well, the interesting thing is that in a lot of games, and especially on the world stage, we saw this a lot, just explosion after explosion of action in some games. And then other games were just like this, where you have these little blips, these little team fights, these little bits of burst, and just nothing for long periods of time. And this is one of those games. Neither team looking to overextend. This is the game 3. The pressure's on for both these lineups. No one wants to take these big risks.
Well, it's also about understanding why you're fighting. And there's no real reason for CJ to fight at this point. Winners, on the other hand, could be being a bit more proactive. They've got more available objectives that they can attend to siege, but hold on.
Madlife trying to get back in there, knocking Knight back into the team, and that is one dead Vygar's base getting the reset, going after Boku. Will get that one with the rocket.
The double.
2 for space, and the tower for CJ. Will be able to back off.
And so what I was saying is understanding when and why you're fighting. What was the easiest objective for CJ to pick up on the map? It was going to be that mid-tier tower. And that's where they find their pick.
And that's absolutely massive. The Gangplank hitting before the spell shield could be popped, and that means that CJ will not only find the tower, but will find the inhibitor as well. We were waiting for that burst of action, and here it is. CJ confidently taking the lead. Space walks away on that auto attack.
Just playing so defensively, waiting for the slightest error from the enemy team, and then maximizing the efficiency on which you punish that. Need to go spin their gold. Now they can play with their mid lane of super creeps. Should be turning their attention towards the dragon in the next 22 seconds, as well as that Baron very shortly after, but CJ back in control.
Most of the members of CJ, of course, have backed off Ambition, making sure to take that Scuttlecraft so they can get a little bit of safety. Dodging out on the spear there. Winners, they can probably take this one if they start it right now. It looks like they're going to hesitate a little bit. Don't want to risk getting caught out. Maybe hoping to turn the tides on CJ. Unfortunately, are currently on a ward.
Good vision denial right there, but see if CJ's looking to contest this. Rocket.
Not going to be enough. Nidalee will secure that one for the team. Gangster trying to pull back, has used it. Honeytemp in the backside. Murphy going in, does have the Zonyas to keep him safe. Honeytemp trying to get a kill, but space flashes over the wall. That's the execution. Murphy, what a beautiful play. Still a 1-for-1 so far, though. Coco going in, Knight taking so much damage. One more parlay is all it will take as Murphy looks absolutely unstoppable here. The heals are massive. Overall, still going to be the 1-for-1 exchange. Dragon going over to winners.
And we'd heard a lot about Murphy, that he was a player to watch for on this lineup, obviously even taking a short stint as a sub for Longzhao IM, but finally really stepping up in Game 3 of this series. I feel like his Kindred, I mean, it was good, but you don't know how much of that is actually just the champion. Game 2 was a little bit rough, but the assassination potential, the scoreline, 6-0 and 3 on this Nidalee, and coming up huge in this team fight to just deny score so much.
And watch this amazing Zonyas as he goes in on space, goes in, gets the combo, immediate Zonyas, takes the attention of every member of CJ. They have to burn their cooldowns on Honeytemp. Murphy flashes up the wall, and Ambition goes afterwards, but there's no value for that.
And what you don't see on the back of your screen is this is effectively Murphy versus Shy. Shy is in the back line here, and Shy zoned off 3 members of winners. Like, was in Sivir and Vigar's face. That was all Nidalee and Renekton. Just 2v3 and coming out on top.
Just amazing play. Rarely would you consider a Nidalee as much of a backline threat as a Fiora, but when she is this far ahead and when Murphy is playing this confidently, things just go in his favor. Space, of course, I have to say, I think he did not expect the Nidalee to flash over the wall, because that was a massive mistake. His Ambition is once again getting caught out. He cannot catch a break and will go down immediately. What was he thinking?
This is the 4th time that's happened. I feel like every single one of Ambition's kills have been him just randomly walking into Fog of War.
It's definitely 3rd or 4th, but yes, that is at least the 3rd time that he has walked into a stun and immediately gotten destroyed.
And at the most disadvantageous time period. Now, unfortunately, this pink ward does not spot that ward in the corner. They open it up.
Oh my God! Coco starts the fight. Space brings it home with the rocket, and that is the gangplank damage we expected. One more barrel may seal the deal. Murphy trying to turn it around. It's not enough. Gangplank is online, and he is crushing winners as CJ take that fight with confidence.
Oh my God, that damage from Coco was absurd. He's got the Infinity Edge, he has the Trinity Force, and now the Ghost Blade. The crit was ridiculous.
We're going to have to watch this one. Was that Death's Daughter 2? Sees them, boom. Death's Daughter hits.
Oh my God. The chain on the barrel.
Absolutely beautiful. That's right. They just take away from that fight because they know that's the moment we wanted to watch. Excellent replay. Excellent Baron from CJ, and looks like Gangplank may finally find a win. What a barrel.
Oh, wow.
It's been a long time since we've seen a Gangplank do that much damage.
It's so satisfying to watch. Just 4 people's health bars disappear. Really well chained by Coco, though.
Yeah, definitely excellent timing on that. Good mechanical skill and knowledge of the champion, but just watching the barrels laid down, chained in order, and if you're watching the Gangplank, you can see it coming, but if your focus is elsewhere, it's just a sudden, explosive burst out of nowhere, and it just wipes everybody out.
You know what we do have to talk about, though, is that pink ward. I'm unclear if the pink ward just may have not seen a ward that it should have, or if it just wasn't placed appropriately.
I think it was not placed appropriately, although we know that that is a spot in the pit that every single team wards, and it's a little bit inconsistent, it seems like. Maybe a slight vision bug, I'm not sure, but I mean, either way, that's normally why we see teams sweep the pit and not just rely on that
I just
single
feel like
pink
if this
ward.
was maybe a different region, we'd have some complaints about that. Shots fired like Gangplank's barrels.
Parlay Coco, oh my God! Tide's trying to get turned, Mad Life gonna go in though, knocking him right back into the Jinx. Honeytang running for his life, Rocket gonna come out, not gonna hit him. Mad Life making the plays for his team as Shy moves in. They push to end this game. CJ could find the win right here if Shy does not find another opportunity. No, not gonna find any more kills. Space playing aggressive, another inhibitor will drop, but the game may not end just yet. Knight trying to zone out. Honeytang did survive, may be able to help keep this up. The cage is coming down, trying to zone them off. Space on the outside. If he tanks a spear, he will be in trouble. CJ just going to back off after that pretty explosive engage. Finding to kill space could be in trouble. Gonna be quite at home in the cage, though. Will get one. Gangplank will get the second, and Honeytang will not be enough. One wave of Baron Creeps is all it's going to take to end this game in the favor of CJ. CJ advancing to the round of 8 and one final explosive move, and at the end of the day, all it took was one parlay from Coco to end this game.
You're absolutely right. This was a single team fight game. I feel like the crit stat was really the MVP for CJ, especially even in the end there. Not just that Gangplank barrel, which was massive, but Space finding the lucky crit onto Vygar to proc to get excited in that last final fight. But that was much closer than it needed to be from CJ.
And Ever find one win against Spenu in the promotion tournament and one win against CJ here in the KeSPA Cup, but both times they have walked away empty-handed. Has to be rough for them, but congratulations to CJ, starting to look back to their former selves, and you can see them drawing their opponent right now.
See if he looks excited.
Please show the camera. He's thinking about it.
Nope.
Well, we'll have that bracket up on your screen shortly, probably later in the broadcast. Don't worry, everyone. You will know all of the round of 8 matchups by the end of the day. But once again, congrats to CJ. A rough game for Ambition, but Coco brought it back in a single instant. One ward, one parlay, changed the fate of that game.
But will it change the fate of CJ going on into this tournament or looking into the spring 2016 LCK run? It looks like CJ have the exact same problems that they've always had, and it's the inability to adapt quickly enough to the meta and to show up as a secondary carry alongside Coco.
Agreed, and it's definitely a little bit worrying in the terms of not only the KeSPA Cup, but also in terms of the SK or LCK. But they have to be pretty happy. I guess they're getting little prizes. Space has a big old grin on his face, looking pretty content.
He just like tried to crack.
Oh, it's swag for the fans. I forgot that they do this after every run, and that's excellent.
I'm jealous that I don't get to be out in the crowd.
This is the problem. They finally unveiled the booth, but now we just get to see what we don't get to have.
We're up in the birdcage, and we've got like this great... The Nexon Arena looks fantastic, by the way. We've got a really nice crowd. Again, the CJ fans came out full force. It's awesome to cast around their hype. It's awesome that CJ found the win with the fans behind them this time around, but they're throwing swag, and I want it.
I don't even know what's in those little balls. Okay, sorry. Getting we're a little too happy. I like legitimately just leaned up to try to see if I can get some. But we'll miss out on swag. If you're an English viewer and you're live here, I sincerely hope you get some for yourself. If you're at home, you just have to take solace in that CJ win. I'm sorry, that's all you're going to
get. I thought you were going for the sponsor shout out. ESL is now selling the SKT as well as the KT roster swag. So if you want to get some of your own, you can go to their website.
ESL shop. Something. We should learn the specific EL. Otherwise, you can just head on over to ESL, and I'm sure you'll be able to find it pretty easily. It's some of the only Westernly available Korean merch. Additionally, if you want to watch this on the go, and Azubu Mobile isn't doing it for you, you can try out V-App by Naver. You'll also be able to watch this game as well as see some of your favorite pro player selfies if you're a fan of any Korean pros. A lot of them use that app. Just go check it out from the makers of Line, I believe. Additionally, Azubu, Longzhu. A lot of great sponsors here, and looks like we're going to a winner's interview down in the pit. But in the meantime, because obviously we're here for the English-speaking audience, we can start to break down.
No, we're actually going to a 15-minute break. Don't worry, I'll close this one out. We got one more best of 3 after a 15-minute break. It's going to be Spinu versus the Tigers.
그리고 세계를 정복하라. 게임 오브 지금 무료로 다운받으세요.
LTE 시대 놀랄 만큼 속도가 빨라졌습니다.